A soggy Saturday in Loudon, New Hampshire. Hurricane Ivan is even making its presence felt in the New England states. Rain falling on this just over 1 mile track. And as we look at the radar, it shows strong rain right on top of where we are at right now, the track. But behind this mass, they're saying that it clears up, so the possibility does exist that we will still be racing today. Look at the Ford top 10 point standings. Bobby Hamilton continues to top this list. On the right side of the screen, you see their starting position for this race, hopefully later today. Ted Musgrave put himself up into 5th place. He's only 185 points out of the top spot. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip as we wait out this hopefully slight rain delay. We did get qualifying in yesterday before the rain started about 3:30, and qualifying seemed to be a little bit difficult here yesterday. Why was that, Phil?
Well, this is a very difficult racetrack to qualify, and you saw only 2 of the top 10 drivers in points qualified in the top 10. Travis Quapple back in 3rd, and Carl Edwards back in 10th, our 3rd place point man. Our leader, Bobby Hamilton, our point leader, qualified all the way back in 23rd, and Dennis Setzer, a short track ace that has won here before at Loudon, qualified in the 30th position. A very difficult racetrack to qualify in.
Yeah, you know why that is, Phil? You have to have your truck so loose in order to race well that when you start the race, you want your truck loose so it'll slip and slide a few laps, and then it'll come in and you can make some steady progress during the course of the day. Well, in qualifying here, you have to get the gas down hard in order to make any progress. And when you try to nail that gas down hard, the thing will turn sideways on you. You go from running 29.60 or 70 to 30.30 and find yourself starting in 30th position. Now, can you use that as an excuse? Can you say, we didn't qualify well, but man, we're going to race good? I'm not so sure. Last week, they impounded the trucks after qualifying, just like they did here at Loudon, and the guys 1 and 2 in qualifying paced the race the whole night and dominated, finished 1-2 at the end. So it'll be interesting to see if these cats that qualified poorly can fight their way through the traffic and get up there and be a factor before this race is over.
You know, Michael, in 8 previous runnings of this race, it's only been won by farther back than 10th one time, Jay Sauter back in 1997.
And in the 8 previous races that have been run here, we've had a different winner each year. And actually, in this field today, we've got 5 previous winners that are running here. So, Phil, are we going to see a repeat winner for the first time at Loudon, or a young Carl Edwards going to put his name on the list?
Well, Rick, the 5 former winners in this race is a record for the Craftsman Truck Series. In the 10-year history, this is the first time we've had that many former winners at a racetrack here. But I don't think we're going to see a repeat winner, and I would not be surprised to see Carl Edwards, who's starting 10th. He's been on fire lately. And, Michael, you know, a lot of people may say, Carl Edwards, well, now he's got a distraction because he's running the Nextel Cup car full-time. I don't think it's a distraction. If anything, I think it's a benefit. 5 of the remaining 8 races that we run are in conjunction with the Nextel Cup cars. He's getting double the track time. You know, most of these Truck Series drivers only got 2 hours of practice yesterday. He got 4. He's better prepared for this race than most of the truck guys.
Well, and remember, Phil, here a year ago, he was up beside our race winner, Jimmy Spencer, coming off turn 4. Had a nose in there about that far. Decided to leave it in there. He and Jimmy got together, made contact with the outside wall. He was on his way to getting a victory here a year ago. I'd say he's got to be the favorite when this race rolls off. Later today, Ivan cooperating.
When Ivan moves out of the way, hopefully Carl Edwards will make his way up to the front. But, Phil, is there somebody else that possibly practiced well that you see could be a factor in this race?
I watched Todd Bodine practice, and he was consistently fast. To me, he was the fastest truck. If you average all his lap times in practice, he was the fastest truck. They had a great run at Richmond. They finished in the top 5. I would not be too surprised to see Todd Bodine pull off a victory here.
We have 36 trucks that qualified yesterday. All 36 made the field. And again, they did get a practice yesterday, and so there was some time that they were able to try to get their trucks ready. But, Michael, you mentioned that this is one of those tracks where you've got to be crazy loose to be good.
Yeah, and then I think you'll see that playing the advantage of Carl Edwards. We see him sliding all over the place. Travis Quapple looked like his truck was right yesterday as well. So when we roll off, it's going to be a great event.
Well, stick around. We're going to be here, and all you have to do is stick around and watch the Richmond truck race until we're back here live at New Hampshire.
NASCAR Live is presented by Nextel. We're at the New Hampshire International Speedway, where track officials are working hard to get the track dry. We're hoping to get the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race underway, hoping to bring that to you at 4:30. The great news is it has stopped raining here in Loudon, New Hampshire. Now, happy hour, and the crowd loves that, happy hour was canceled here for the Nextel Cup Series, as was qualifying, so they'll line up by points. Tomorrow, your points leader, Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, teammates leading from the front row. The chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup is on. 10 races will determine who the 2004 champion will be. We'll be back with you again at 4 o'clock. Thanks for watching NASCAR Live. NASCAR Live is presented by Nextel. You're looking at the New Hampshire International Raceway. Track drying is underway, and a great crowd here at the speed stage. Hardcore fans, one and all, they want to see some racing, and we want to bring it to you. We will have another update at 4:30. They're working on the track. It is not raining. Now, Nextel Cup Happy Hour was rained out earlier today, as was qualifying yesterday. They will line up by the top 10 in points in the chase for the NASCAR Nextel Cup. Just 10 races to see who will be the 2004 champion. So stay with us here on Speed. We'll keep you updated again. We'll be with you at 4:30 to see if we can get the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race started. It is no longer raining.
As the Craftsman Truck Series rolls from the action track to Loudon's Miracle Mile, we should expect nothing less than the unexpected. No driver has won more than once here, but today, 5 guys have the chance to regain past glories. But there is a points chase going on, and Richmond was not so kind to our points leader, Bobby Hamilton. No stranger to bad luck himself, second place Dennis Setzer edged closer to the top spot in spite of some tough luck and missteps. Carl Edwards seems to have regained his stride in recent weeks, and Matt Crafton retains his spot in 4th place even with a major fumble. Let's not forget Ted Musgrave. His performance at Richmond and steadfast determination of the Ultra Boys has him back into the hunt for the championship. With 8 races left, it's every driver for themselves. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is presented by Craftsman. The power of positive thinking has brought the jet dryers and the trucks onto the track to dry the track off, and the drivers have climbed into their trucks in anticipation of starting today's race. We've had rain up until almost a little after 3 o'clock. That brought the temperature way down, 57 degrees. You can see your breath outside right now. Our points leader for the past few races has been Bobby Hamilton. Let's find out what he's thinking before this race.
When rock star Bobby Hamilton visited Victory Lane 3 weeks ago in Nashville, momentum seemed to be on his side. All Hamilton needed to do was continue his consistent top 10 finishes, and he could coast to his first Craftsman Truck Series title. Following a decent 12th place finish in Bristol, Richmond proved to be rough on the point leader. The Square D Dodge found trouble on the second lap.
As you see the points right now, look how much they've tightened up with Bobby Hamilton's early misfortune.
And now both Dennis Setzer and Carl Edwards are close on the heels of Bobby Hamilton, leaving the 4 team wondering what went wrong. And folks, the trucks are sitting back here in the garage just about ready to head out to the racetrack. Now you see Bobby Hamilton's Square D Dodge is sitting right here. Well, if we look this way, you can see there's a whole lot of trucks in front of him. That's because Bobby qualified 23rd. Last week at Richmond, he started towards the back and got in trouble. This week at New Hampshire, we know how difficult it is to pass. And once again, our points leader is deep in the field. And there's a couple other guys that are well aware of that.
Carl Edwards will win at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Carl Carl Edwards seems to be getting back into his groove with a win at Bristol and a 5th place finish at Richmond. Dennis Setzer has somehow maintained the 2nd spot in the points despite recent bad luck and poor judgment. Still, Bobby Hamilton is one more bad race away from losing the top spot. Dennis Setzer sits 2nd in points. He's 57 points behind Bobby Hamilton. Today he starts 30th deep in the pack. Dennis, today is the day to get up and go. You need to make up those points.
Yeah, we sure do. We've struggled a little bit during practice and stuff here, Wendy, and didn't qualify as well as we need to. But, you know, Danny Gill and these guys got some good plans changed right there. Hopefully have a good day. We'll get through this rain and get this track right off, see how it goes.
What does the rain situation do to you? We've been sitting around relaxed all day. All of a sudden, it's time for us to hit it in high gear.
Well, we just have to see, you know, how dry the track can get. You know, it's still actually misting a little bit right now, and pit road's really damp right there. So I'm worried about our guys on pit road. We just have to all be really careful today. But you know, Silverado, we got a good piece here. We just work through it and get it where we need to be.
All right, Loudon's a difficult place to pass, guys, with this flat track. Dennis Setzer has a lot of ground to make up. Ray?
Well, Wendy, as I watched practice yesterday here at this racetrack and as we got ready to go qualifying, I was sure that the truck that would be on the pole was this one, the number 99, the Super Chips drive of Carl Edwards. Carl, you slipped just a little bit in qualifying, but I know you've got a great race truck.
Yeah, Cowboy and all the guys on the Super Chips team, I mean, they've been putting their homework in, and they've given me a great truck to drive. I told them this is the best truck we've ever had in a practice session, and that's really cool. It's a lot of fun. And as for the qualifying, I got a little greedy on the 2nd lap and kind of threw it away. So I'll tell you what, though, this is going to be a good race, and hopefully we can finish one spot better than we did last year.
What's a day like this for a driver? I mean, you've been sitting around here all day. We're not sure if we're going to go racing. All of a sudden they say, jump in the truck. We're going to give it a shot.
Oh, man, these are the worst days right here because, you know, at any moment they can say, all right, we're starting the drying process and we're going racing. And so you're just up and down all day. And I guess all that dirt racing we did back home helped me a little bit with this. We'd always get a storm on Saturday night in Missouri, and man, that was hard to deal with. So hopefully I'll be better at it than the rest of these guys. But this is going to be a fun race. Hopefully it stays a little slick all night, and it'll be a good, fun race.
Okay, good luck. That's Carl Edwards. And, guys, he rolls off 10th. I think this is the truck to beat here at New Hampshire.
For top 10 point standings has Bobby Hamilton up on top. Ted Musgrave put his team back into the championship hunt with his win at Richmond last week. The top 5 are now separated by just 185 points. Hello, everyone. I'm Rick Allen alongside of Phil Parsons and Michael Waltrip. Now, Phil, 185 points separate Ted Musgrave from Bobby Hamilton at the top of the list. Is that an unsurmountable number?
Rick, I don't think it is. Bobby Hamilton has a bit of a lead, 185 points on Ted Musgrave, but Ted Musgrave was 266 points behind after the 5th race of the season. He went on a tear, gained some ground. He's 185 points behind. You can gain 155 points in any one race if you lead the most laps and win the race, and your competitor or the leader finishes last. So you can gain that much, but he's got a lot of guys to leapfrog, but he's got a real hot truck right now. He's been really, really good. Had come off that big win last week at Richmond, and he's got a 4th place finish here. He's been in the top 5 at this racetrack. So Ted Musgrave is definitely one of the contenders for this point championship, but that's the top 5. I don't think anybody out of the top 5 right now has a shot.
At New Hampshire International Speedway, we've had 8 races and 8 different winners. And in the field today, we have 5 of those winners. Michael, do you think one of the 5 can be the first repeat, or are we going to see someone add their name to that list?
I think a guy's going to add his name to the list, and I think that guy's going to be Carl Edwards, like Ray said down on pit road. His truck was right yesterday. He slipped in qualifying. That means the thing was a little bit loose. He's going to be ready when this race starts. You also heard him talking about the drivers are so worried about this slick track. It's going to be crazy when it starts. Carl said, I hope it's slick. It reminds me of my dirt racing days. So he's got his mental state right. He's going to be tough today.
Well, they fired the trucks already in the pits, and so they will be rolling out onto the track momentarily. We'll be racing at New Hampshire after this. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series pre-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. On companion events, sometimes we get a few drivers that come from the Cup Series and make their way to the Truck Series. And today is no exception. we have a few of the Cup drivers that will also be running today's race. Those drivers, you see at the bottom, Carl Edwards has an asterisk beside his name, and that's, well, because we're going to call him a Cup whacker.
That's a regular truck series driver racing for the championship. We've got one of the truck whackers right beside us. So, Michael, you ran a couple truck races this year.
Yeah, and what fun it is to race these trucks. And all the guys in the Cup garage love when they get an opportunity to do so. Jamie Murray liked it so much at Richmond, he demanded that he can be back in that truck here at Loudon.
Ray, what have you got about these truck whackers?
Well, Rick, we saw how dominant Michael was when he ran at Charlotte in that number 47 truck, the Axiom Chevrolet. And tonight, Ricky Craven will make his first ever start in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. He's got Leanne Rimes on the side of that truck, and I think he is certainly the crowd favorite here at New Hampshire. He's led 287 laps in the Busch North Series here at this track. He's led 159 laps in the Busch Series. He's led 169 laps in the Cup Series. Can he lead in the Craftsman Truck Series? Yes, I think he can. He rolls off ninth today. Keep your eye on Ricky Craven. Wendy?
And another truck whacker tonight is Jamie McMurray. He finished second last week in Richmond. His career best finish in the Truck Series. Now, he's never raced here at Loudon in a truck, but he has plenty of experience in the Cup and Busch Series. He's led laps both here in both those series, and he also finished a top 10 earlier this year in the Cup race, so plenty of experience here at this track for Jamie Mack. The truck they brought back this weekend is the same truck from Richmond. They call it 37AA, a second place finish with that truck already. We'll see what Jamie Mack's got in that truck today. Let's go to Rick.
Well, thank you, Wendy. The trucks are on the track. See the caution flag out. They're following the pace truck. They're still trying to dry the track. When we come back, we'll have more action from New Hampshire. Welcome to the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series New Hampshire 200 on Speed Channel. Let's look at the U.S. Army starting grid. How we will line up for today's race. For the 25th time in his career, Jack Sprague has the pole, and outside of him, Steve Park with an impressive run will start second, but has to go to the back because of an engine change.
Travis Quapple makes his best, or ties his best start of the season inside road number 2 and third position.
Yeah, and I think Quapple had one of the best trucks yesterday, Phil, so he could be fun to watch.
Hank Parker Jr. has a good qualifying run in row 4. Problems with Kelly Sutton. She's already spun, actually, as they're trying to just get a feel for this track right now.
Well, she had just come off pit road, Rick, and probably just tried to carry a little bit too much speed exiting the pits. He's going awful fast there, too. I just talked to Jamie McMurray inside of his truck. He said the place was really slick right now, so these cats catching back up to the field after being on pit road need to be careful.
As you mentioned, she had just come off pit road.
That's a good sight to see some smoke off the tires, though. That means they are making some progress. But Jamie said that anytime you ever touch the throttle, you just spin the tires. So fortunately, we can get this thing dried up in a few laps here.
And Kelly did a great job qualifying. She had a crash in her primary truck in practice, came out and run a 30 flat, put herself in the top 20 with her qualifying effort. She was on pit road just now and spun that thing around. Hope she didn't flat spot those tires.
Kelly Sutton catching up to the field. As the field will come to the start-finish line, you see the green and yellow flags flying, which means that this race is officially underway. Jack Sprague will take the green-yellow flag. They're going to continue to run with the pace truck out there to make sure that this truck or this track is dry enough for competition.
And you know, Phil, we've got over 2 hours of daylight left. It doesn't get dark here until around 7:30. Would you say that would be fair, even with the overcast conditions?
I think at least 7 o'clock.
Right. We should be okay to get this race in. NASCAR is going to use every inch of their power to get this track dry, and this is part of that process.
And this is not that unusual to throw the green flag while the caution flag's still out. We see that oftentimes because these race trucks do so better job trying to get this track dry than even the jet dryers and the other vehicles right around the racetrack. The race trucks really dry this track better than anybody else.
And this, Rick, will really help these guys. Talking about it being slick when the race starts, this process here will help them address that. They're able to build heat in their tires right now, shake them around, so when they do go racing, the truck should drive a lot better.
And we saw this before at Mansfield, actually. When Jack Sprague was on the pole, they started green, yellow, and went around for a few laps just to get the comfort zone for the trucks. Jack, as I mentioned, Hank Parker Jr., a new father, actually had their second child this last week, and so congratulations to the Parker family.
You see Ty Bodine inside road number 8. He had one of the very best trucks in practice. I think if you averaged every lap everyone ran in practice, he was right at the top of the board. That's not what the sheet showed, but Ty Bodine has a very, very good truck.
You can see there Kelly Sutton, we talked about getting that top 20 qualifying start. And then a guy we're all kind of confused about, where'd all the speed go? He sat on the pole, or he ran up front, won races early in the season. That's our point leader, Bobby Hamilton, back in the 23rd spot. Another truck, the 18 of Chad Chapman, has spun around out there trying to get his tires heated up.
Well, that's amazing. As you mentioned, they're trying to get some heat in the tires, trying to get the air pressure built up. This is used to be one of the most difficult racetracks to run when it was cold. We ran bush races here in early part of the year, and when the racetrack was cold, you just never got enough heat in the tires.
And we're hearing from NASCAR that they will give his spot back. So Chad Chapman will go back to the position he was in because we're under this situation, green, yellow on the track.
We're having a heck of a time getting through this starting lineup, guys.
We're going to continue on with the U.S. Army starting grid. Matt Crafton, who currently is 4th in the point standings, will start on the inside of row 13.
Here's Dennis Setzer, our runner-up right now in the points, outside of row number 15 to 30th starting position. And Danny Gill, his crew chief, said we really don't know what's wrong. They've actually made a pit stop already on the pace laps.
Wow.
Final page of qualifiers.
Bill Lester wound up taking a provisional starting spot, but yet had one of the best trucks in practice yesterday. So just shows you how crazy qualifying is when it comes to here, when you try to get the job done here at Loudon. Like I said earlier, you got to just nail the gas here. And when you nail it, if it sticks, great, you're going to run a fast lap. But if the thing slips out from underneath of you, you got to backpedal the throttle, steer the truck, and you don't make any time at all.
There are the particulars of the New Hampshire International Speedway and our Craftsman track description.
Track
just a little over a mile.
A little over 1 mile in length. You see 12-degree bank in the corners. But now the very bottom of the racetrack, where typically we see a lot of trucks run, is a little bit flatter than the second lane. The groove, it seems to be a little bit higher than the bottom of the racetrack.
Well, the Bears just did a masterful job of fixing this racetrack, in my opinion, Phil. We raced here for many a year, and everybody just ran over each other hunting for the bottom groove. They flattened out the bottom groove, and then that gave us the opportunity to race up higher, gave it some options. Now, it might have stretched out the pit window a little bit, though. You run a little bit higher, you get a little bit less fuel mileage, maybe 80 to 90 laps. We're going to have to come in and see some pit stops. Hopefully, the pit road will be dry by then.
We're going to be riding along with a few of the drivers in the Federated Auto Parts Chevy. Ken Schrader will carry one of our cameras. He starts in 18th position.
There's a 47 Axiom Chevrolet of Ricky Craven, his first ever Truck Series race right here at his home track at Loudon, starting in the top 10, 9th position.
Starting 7th, we talked about Hank Parker Jr., new father again this last week.
There's Jamie McMurray. He's starting 4th, 6th. Where's everybody out in front of him? Anyway, starting 6th. We got the ability to talk to Jamie and check in with him. We'll do that in a little bit.
Jack Sprague has the opportunity to win the Craftsman Win from the Pole Award, $18,000 now in the pot. If Jack Sprague can not only start from the pole today, but come home your winner at the end of this race, he will earn $18,000 for his team.
See a few raindrops on that camera lens right now. Why don't we see if we can find out what the track looks like? How about from Jamie McMurray, Michael?
Hey, Jamie, it's Mike up in the speed booth. Saw some rain on one of the cameras down there. How's the track drying going, and how's it feel?
So 1 and 2 is still pretty slick. It's really slick, but 3 and 4 is not bad. It's not raining on me right now, so I'd say maybe 10 or 12 laps we'll be ready to go.
Oh, you feel good about getting this thing started. How was the truck yesterday in race practice? Are you ready for them like you were last week?
We're not quite as good as we were last week, but I think at the end of a long run we're real good. I know there's 2 or 3 other trucks probably comparable to us, but it's one of my favorite racetracks, and same truck we ran last week, so I feel pretty good about it.
You look pretty cool sitting there. You got this hose running off the top of your head here, and then you got all these wires and rubber hoses over here. What is all that?
I don't know. They just put all that stuff in here. This is a drink hose, if you guys can see it. That's my air conditioner. I don't know what else y'all can see, but this headrest, I'm really proud of this because I covered this in Nomex myself at my house. So a lot of cool stuff. I'll tell you what, safety's come a long ways, and we got a lot of stuff in these cars and trucks now that just make you feel a lot better. I know you and I were talking about when you leave home just how much better you feel about having safe balls at racetracks. So it's a great place to race.
Well, we appreciate your time. You don't really seem like you really care much about talking to me right now. You're in that mode where you're ready to get after it and go race. So we'll let you go, and we'll maybe check in with you later.
Hey guys, have a good day. I'll see you later.
During the starting lineup, we mentioned the 46 of Dennis Setzer starting way back in 30th position. Well, that was because they thought they had a problem or a vibration, and so they actually came in and stopped under one of the pace laps. Wendy, what was going on?
Well, the 46 did come in. They actually wanted to make those changes back in the garage. Of course, NASCAR wouldn't let them until the trucks rolled out here. So the plan was for the 46 to come down pit road. What they did was took the left rear tire off and unhooked the sway bar, and the chain was too tight on that truck. So they also changed to the left front tire just to keep the sets in sync. So both left side tires were changed on the 46 truck. Of course, he was starting 30th, so not a whole lot of ground that he lost right there.
Yeah, we talked to Danny Gill right before the race, and they said their truck was vibrating during qualifying, and the only thing they had changed was the tires for qualifying, so they felt like they needed to get those tires off.
So Dennis Setzer, who was planning on starting 30th, makes a change. They go to the back. We'll be back with more from New Hampshire after this. The NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series New Hampshire 200 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. By the next Ford Super Duty, tougher, stronger, smarter. And by the United States Army, an army of one. Craftsman is awarding 19 autographed toolboxes this season. And those will include a full set of tools. They're the same toolboxes that the winning truck drivers get in Victory Lane. You can win one of those by entering on Speed Channel or speedtv.com. If you guess correctly the winner of our next race, your name's going to be entered in the drawing, and then if you're lucky enough to be drawn out of that pool, you will win your very own stock toolbox. Who won the last one, Phil?
Rick, we had over 1,700 entries, a record number of entries, and 13 correctly picked Ted Musgrave to win at Richmond. And Brian Dixon was drawn of those winners from Tarboro, North Carolina, and he is our winner of the toolbox.
Congratulations to Brian. Wendy, who have you caught up with?
Well, it's a very interesting day in the 15 group. In the 15 pit, Slugger Lobby's just walked up. Now, Shane Mill has had some problems on pit road this year, and today I don't think it's going to be a problem. DEI is going to be pitting this truck. Now, Slugger, you came over in a bar suit. What are you doing over here?
Well, the Napa group is going to pit Shane today, and one of our tire changers, Greg Osborne, stuck in traffic like 20 minutes from here. So I was actually sitting on the motorhome in the couch watching this show on TV, and they called me and told me to come out here. So I figured, hey, it's been a while since I've done this. I think 2002, but you know, we're here to help Shane, and hopefully we'll do okay.
All right, I'm going to head my headset over to you. Michael wants to say some words to you. Hey, Michael, how about that? You got him off his couch in the motorhome.
I think that's pretty good stuff. Slugger's been over the wall. You spent some time over the wall, so this isn't going to be any big deal for you. You can knock this job out, right?
Well, I'm really hoping that Greg shows up. Hope the traffic, you know, the sea is kind of parting and he can make it. But yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple years, and I don't think my knees can take much of this, but I'll give it a whirl.
Well, the Napa boys won the McDonald's drive-through championship last week up at Richmond, so Shane's going to have some fast stops, and I hope you can blend in there with them if Greg doesn't make it. I bet you can.
Well, we'll give it a whirl and do the best we can, but I hope Greg makes it.
All right, Slugger, we all have a good day down there.
All right, man, looking forward to tomorrow.
Hey, flip it over to Ray, Slugger.
Hey, Ray, take it away, bud.
Well, thanks, Slugger. Glad to have you here, and let's talk to a crew chief. Bobby Hamilton's crew chief is Danny Rollins, and Danny, I got to believe that as each one of these caution laps goes by, you don't want to see that because you guys start deep in the field. You got a long way to go.
Oh, yeah, we got a long way to go right here, but we got a pretty good race truck. It didn't qualify real good, but you know, it's one of those deals on these impound races. I mean, all I worry about is the race. I like to start up here closer to the front, but I mean, that's what we got to deal with right now. I'm kind of iffy about this track right now, so I'd like to see a few more caution laps myself.
Has Bobby said anything about what the track looks like?
Well, whenever they said it's going to be green, he's like, know if it's going to go green, he's going to go back to the back, start in the back, because it's going to be a mess.
Thank you. That is Danny Rollins, crew chief for Bobby Hamilton, who starts deep in the field in 23rd.
As we watch Bobby Hamilton make his way around the track, we can see dry parts on this track, and so it's getting close. We'll be back and see if we can get underway. Green flag racing. Sears and Craftsman had a Father's Day promotion this year called the Good Life Great Race promotion. And that gentleman standing right there next to Rick Crawford is Bob Goodwin. And he is the proud owner of a 2004 Ford F-150 that has a special NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series paint scheme. He was the grand prize winner of that promotion. So congratulations to Bob Goodwin. Now another grand prize winner is driving the Federated Auto Parts truck. And I think, Mike, you wanted to talk to that winner.
Yeah, Schrader, it's Mike up in the speed booth. Phil, Rick, and I just wondering the progress on the track. We talked to Jamie a minute ago, and he said he thought maybe 10 or 12 more laps y'all could go racing. Are you down with that type of thinking?
I haven't seen it making a whole lot of changes here yet, Mikey. Right now, I think we're kind of wasting fuel. They need to have all them dryers out here. I can see spots where it's dry. That's just making me think it's not dry in them other spots.
That's pretty deductive thinking you're going through there. I'm going to have to side with you on that. What's going to be your strategy when they say go, if it's in 10 or 12 laps? Dodge everybody that spins out?
Well, being we've had a couple trucks spin out yet, and we're still behind the paint truck, I'm thinking when they actually say go, if the track's about like it is, I'm just going to try to hit everything gently, because I think there's going to be some stuff scattered throughout the racing surface.
10-4. Well, good luck. You're experienced enough to where you've seen it all, so good luck is what I say.
Because this thing's pretty wet. I'm a little aggravated now. I'm sure we got a minute, Mikey, so heck, why don't you guys just go to break, and then we'll come back and we'll be up to racing speed in the old Federated Auto Parts truck.
Thanks, Kenny. As a matter of fact, we'll do just that.
This is Craftsman's brand new digital air pressure gauge. Now the head on the top of this thing will swivel 360 degrees, and that allows you to get into some very tight places. In a matter of just a second, it tells me exactly my readout. Now I have 26 pounds of air pressure in this tire. Now realize just a half-pound increment up or down can be the difference between a good handling truck and one that's not going to win the race. So having an accurate readout of your air pressure is more important today than ever.
Tire pressure is an important item, as well as the track conditions. And because the track conditions are a little wet, we've had a little more time to talk to a few more people on pit road. Wendy, who have you caught up with?
Well, I have Eric Phillips with me, crew chief on Travis Quapple's truck. Of course, Travis is starting third today. Eric, what is Travis saying about the track conditions?
It's still pretty wet out there, but NASCAR's doing a pretty good job about trying to get this race in today. We don't want to be here on Monday. We got to go to Vegas next week. It's a long way to go for our guys, but they're getting it. I think they'll get going here in another 10 or 15 laps.
How is this going to change your strategy with all these yellow flag laps?
I guess the biggest thing right now is if we're going to get the whole thing in, we're probably going to try to make it to halfway with all the caution laps that we've run. So right now it just kind of depends on when we get going here. We can probably make it on one if we run probably 10, 15 more laps of caution.
All right, that's Eric Phillips. Travis Quapple is in a truck that he's never run before, but this truck has been on a track this year. It ran at Milwaukee with Mike Skinner in the 42. Ray?
Well, Wendy, let's talk to Chris Showalter, crew chief at Jack Sprague. I'm sure you're pretty happy about riding around here under caution, but I got to talk to you about fuel mileage. How many laps can we go under caution?
Under caution, we could probably go about 160 without pitting. So
perfect.
Yeah, it's going to be great. When Jack just came on the radio, said it'd be great if we do this all 200 laps, then we could take this truck next week. So
$18,000 on the line for your crew here this weekend if you're able to win from the pole.
Yeah, it's been pretty big. I mean, we've had a tough season for our Chevy truck Silverado. We got it all together this weekend, so we'll see what happens.
All right. Here's the good news, guys. Chris is from Ohio, and I'm from Ohio, and we're watching the Buckeyes down here, and they're winning 13-0.
Well, I'm sorry about interrupting your viewing pleasure down there, Ray. Jack Sprague looking to win the Craftsman win from the Pole Award. $18,000 goes to his team. We'll be back with more coverage from New Hampshire. We take a closer look at the Nextel Cup update. The chase for the championship begins here tomorrow.
Pretty close point race right there, Michael. 10 cars within 45 points.
It's going to be a great battle to the end, that's for sure. It's going to be so much fun to see who can carry momentum from the regular season throughout these final 10 races. People have penciled in Jeff Gordon, Mark Martin, Dale Jr. as some folks that they like in this championship battle format.
Jeff Gordon, Tony Stewart, the highest win percent or top 5 percentages as far as the final 10 tracks that the Nextel Cup will run on.
That was big time TV last Saturday night, wasn't it? Watching that battle unfold and seeing Jeremy Mayfield dominate the race throughout the latter half of the event, and then Kurt Busch, who had gotten around him and got the lead, ran out of gas. Just drama all the way to the end.
We'll show the ticker on the top of the screen as the running order. That's actually the starting order. Some will show in the back. Those, for example, are the 62 of Steve Park, who qualified second, but because of an engine change has to go to the back of the field. Also doing the same thing, the 02, they changed an engine, will have to go to the back. And then the 08 did some adjustments that were unapproved by NASCAR. They have to go to the back as well.
And then, of course, we talked about Dennis Setzer. He qualified bad. He's already worked on his truck, so some strategy also being played out by some of our teams.
We could talk to some of the drivers. Let's see if Hank Parker Jr. is listening in.
Hank Parker, Phil Parsons up in the speed booth. Can you hear me?
Hi, man. Go ahead.
Hank, we've talked to several of the other drivers. We're getting track reports right now. Is the track looking any better?
It seems to be getting better. They put most of the jet drivers down there in 1 and 2, and it made a big difference. So they're going to do that down here in 3 and 4. And man, I'm just ready to get this thing going. This is an awesome racetrack. I got a good truck, so I'm ready to get going.
We talked to you earlier before the race, and you had a pretty exciting week. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, I had to rush home after the Richmond race and get home. My wife and I had our second child there this week, and man, it'd be good to have us a good run up here this week here in Loud. This is a fun racetrack. I really love racing here, so hopefully we can get this thing going and put on a good show for the fans.
You told me you got a good night's sleep last night. You ready to go?
I'm ready to go. It's the first time in a week I haven't had a baby crying to wake me up.
All right, good luck, Hank.
Thanks, guys.
I think another guy that's ready to go is the crew chief of the 17, Jason Overstreet, and Wendy's standing by with him.
Well, actually, Jason Overstreet is spotting today for David Ruderman, so I'm with team manager Bobby Kennedy. David starts 5th today, being a rookie driver and at a track he's never raced with. Has he been able to assess the condition of the track so far?
Yeah, it's pretty good in 1 and 2. 3 and 4 is still a little wet on the bottom. It's all, you know, other than that, it's pretty good. Pit road's still fairly wet. That concerns me a little bit. That could put the crews in a compromising position if you have to do pit spots. So that concerns me a little bit.
Now, you said with these flags being run, this is changing your strategy. How so?
Right now, I'd say we're just trying to race to lap 100. You know, it's getting late, and I think, you know, darkness might get us, you know, before we can get 200 laps. So right now, you just want to race to lap 100.
If you had to guesstimate how many more laps before we go green, what would it be?
He said, you know, if they could do the same thing in 3 and 4 they did to 1 and 2 at the bottom of the track, you know, we could go in another 10 or 15 laps. But, you know, until they get down there and work on that again, you know, it might take more than that.
All right, you might have noticed David Ruderman has a little bit of damage on the right-hand side. He brushed the wall in practice earlier yesterday.
Everybody seems to be in agreement that it's going to take 10 to 15 laps to get the track drive, but it just keeps coming 10 or 15 laps later.
Ray, I think you're standing by with one of the team owners.
Yeah, I'm standing. He's sitting. Hey, look at this. Is this your helmet here? You getting ready to go over the wall, or what's the deal?
I think we might need some extra helmets, but if they decide to do this, but it's we can stay till Wednesday. All our stuff's ready to go to Vegas and California, which would probably be a good opinion right now, being that there's a stream of water running out of the soft walls. But as an owner, I'm nervous sitting up here, worried about our trucks getting wrecked. But hopefully they make a good decision and don't tear everything up.
Tell me about Richmond, Kevin. I know you were there to watch that incident with Matt. He's really done a great job this year, 13 top 10s, but that was a night where you guys ended up losing points.
Yeah, I mean, we gained on a leader, but, you know, it's racing. Those things are going to happen. Came down to a green-white checkered there, and everybody got to beating and banging a little bit, and we spun out. So it's part of the sport, and that's why everybody watches, and that's the thing we enjoy about it.
If you were in the tower right now, what call would you make?
I would have loaded them up about noon. I saw the radar and saw that big hurricane coming up here, and it looked like it was going to rain a lot, but those aren't our decisions to make. That's what I would have done.
All right, 10-4. He's got his jacket on, ready to go. Now let's check back in with Wendy.
Thanks, Ray. I found Kevin Cowboy Starlin, crew chief of Carl Edwards' truck. Actually, we're at the NASCAR hauler. You were just checking out the radar. What's it look like?
Well, right now I think we're going to be okay. There's a little patch that kind of got through there. Looks like we should be good for weather, but now we're going to be worried about when it's starting to get dark right now.
What is Carl saying about the track?
It's starting to come in. He said 1 and 2 still need some work. Entry into 3. Other than that, it's getting close. It's getting real close. We'll go racing.
Now, when I went through the garage this morning, there was 2 trucks ready to go to Vegas. Kevin Harvick's truck is ready to go, and you are too. You got to be pretty proud of your guys.
Yeah, them super chip guys, they work real hard. All the guys back, Bobby Hudson, the engine shop. They get enough stuff for us to be prepared so we can be ahead of the game, and that's the whole part of trying to run for a championship and being ready to go.
All right, Cowboy Starlin, he wants to get the race in, but he's not too concerned if we have to wait till Monday.
Cowboy Starlin also excited about the fact that they've got a great truck. Carl Edwards very happy with that truck. I'm sure he'd be happy if we'd go green shortly. We'll try to do that after this.
Mario Andretti to Ryan Newman. For 37 years, one driver has been honored as the best of the best. Speed Channel's Driver of the Year. In 2004, this impressive list of winners will grow by 1. Who will it be? This quarter's nominees: Jeff Gordon, Jimmy Johnson, Dan Weldon, Sebastian Bourdais, Steve Kenzer, Greg Anderson, Carl Edwards, and Tommy Kendall. Log on to speedtv.com now and cast your vote for Driver of the Quarter.
And do it quickly, because at 7 o'clock tonight, they will announce the winner of the Driver of the Quarter on Speed News. So Speed News, 7 o'clock tonight. One of the other truck whackers that we had mentioned earlier, Ricky Craven, driving that 47 truck that you actually drove, Michael. Can you find out a little bit more how that truck's feeling?
Well, nobody knows about this track better than Ricky Craven. He's won more races here than anyone, and always runs real well here. Ricky Craven, it's Michael Waltrip, Phil Parsons, and Rick Allen up the speed booth, checking in with a veteran of this facility. What's the track look like? You think it's dry enough to go racing?
Oh, we're really close, Michael. Yeah, just a few laps away. I'm amazed, actually, at how good a job they've done here. So, a couple more laps.
They're saying 3 to go at the start-finish line. Has NASCAR quizzed you about what you think about the track? You've been checking in with your crew. How's Goss got your truck running? I got to drive that thing over at Charlotte and had the best time my whole life. Have you got it running good enough to contend for the win here at your home track?
Yeah, we do. Yeah,
that's a lot of questions.
Just like you, this is as much fun as I've had in a long time. I'm really looking forward to it. And heck, I didn't know you were going to be with me. So at any point, if you've got advice or if you want to jump in here and spot for me, just do it.
Yeah, if I see anything I think I can help you with, I'll be sure to do that. Schrader says sometimes it's best though if I just stay a little more quiet than I do.
Okay, well, I'll get back to you.
Leanne Rimes on board the Axiom Chevrolet this week. You had a special.
Yeah, I had her on my Busch car up at Richmond a couple of weeks ago. Real pretty paint scheme, and of course you can buy your Action collectibles online or at the racetrack, and that's a good-looking truck. When I drove that rock and roll truck, that was a lot of fun.
Tony Stewart gave Sarah Evans a good ride. She was on his truck last week at Richmond, finished in the top 5.
How about that?
All-star program by Chevrolet with the Silverados, the Axiom Chevrolets, running somewhat in conjunction with the 46. It's a teammate per se of Dennis Setzer.
Yeah, both the trucks out of the Morgan Dollar Racing Team shop, and they share a lot of information. Danny Gill, Dennis Setzer's crew chief, and Randy Goss, the crew chief on the 47 truck. We're getting word that 1 lap to go till green, and we're finally going to get this thing going. 1 more lap.
This is going to be great, and I think everybody, I know I am, very interested to see what takes place on the first couple of laps. These trucks would be slipping and sliding. Remember this, Phil. They would be slipping and sliding on this start, even if track conditions were perfect. So we know the drivers will be real quick to blame any incident on the track itself. But let's remember, it's hard to get a hold of when things are perfect.
Now, how hard is Jack Sprague going to drive in turn number 1? Because he, you know, again, as you mentioned, if in ideal conditions, this track is slippery, especially to get some heat in the tires. Even though they're running around here at 60, 70 miles an hour, they're not getting enough heat in the tires like they would at speed. So I'll tell you, it's going to be a dicey first turn.
I talked to Bobby Hamilton during the rain delay. He made the comment, this is probably the slickest track you can have after a rain shower because it takes all of the rubber off the track.
And plus on cold tires, it's just really tough to get a hold of. And then if you couple in the fact that getting down on the bottom of the racetrack, another truck on the outside of you, it reminds you a whole lot of Richmond last week. Really hard to get the job done down on the bottom of the racetrack.
Another variable to throw in, it's only 57 degrees out right now.
And then typically the trucks are loose to start with anyway because their setups are loose so they don't get too tight later on. We're going to find out.
Pace truck is pulled down pit road. The crowd is on their feet. We are about to get underway with the New Hampshire 200. Bumping and banging early.
A great
Jamie
move.
McMurray got hit from the back.
Great move on the start there by Jack Sprague. He saw that David Starr had inched ahead of him. He waited and waited until David had to commit to back off the gas, then shot off on the start and was able to get the lead.
Everybody clean through 1 and 2. We'll try 3 and 4.
See David Ruderman looking down on the inside of David Starr. That's for the 4th position.
Ruderman grabs 3rd ahead of Starr. Wow, a clean first lap. Oh no, Phil.
We got trouble.
Todd Bodine in the 30 slows on the front stretch.
One of the very best trucks in practice yesterday, and unbelievable turn of events for him.
See if he can coast that thing back onto pit road. We can keep this race green.
We stay green. Out in front, Jack Sprague ran the first lap in 32.624 seconds. Now they qualified under 30 seconds.
There's a side-by-side battle right there. Ricky Craven got a little bit loose on the bottom of the racetrack, Michael, just like you talked about. Allowed Shane Neal to get back in front of him. Now he looks to the inside of Jamie McMurray in the 2 truck.
That's a hard deal to close there, Phil, getting on the bottom of the racetrack and making a pass. You can see there Travis Quapple looking up on the outside of Jack Sprague, trying to get business done on the high side. That's an easier way to make a pass. You can see David Starr here. He dives underneath Ruderman. Can he complete the pass?
Slides up a little bit, moves Ruderman up the track.
Tries to clear him.
David Starr takes over 3rd away from David Ruderman, and up front, Jack Sprague trying to hold off a hard-charging 24 of Travis Quapple.
We're getting a report that Todd Bodine, the 30 truck's Toyota engine, was silent as we went by our position here. So obviously something happened either to the engine or to the ignition.
How much are these drivers on pins and needles right now, knowing that just an hour ago this track was soaked?
Every lap, Rick, they're more and more confident about the track. You know, when they made the first lap under green, I know they thought, okay, good, this is going to be all right. And now these things are handling the way they want them to. Now they're just going to wait until the time that NASCAR will throw a mandatory caution. They'll generally do that when the conditions have been washed, when all the rubber's been washed off the track, and they're new to the racing circus.
And we're hearing that from NASCAR, that will be at lap 65. And so if there is not a caution caused by the drivers prior to lap 65, there will be a competition caution thrown at lap 65. Side-by-side racing here, 2 Dodges. Ted Musgrave on the inside, Chad Chaffin on the outside.
Saw Ted drive up underneath the 18 truck of Chad Chaffin on the inside there. He's got a great handling truck right now. You see him put some distance on the 18.
Wow, that was a big corner for Ted. I mean, not only did he make the pass on the bottom, then he drove away from that other truck.
That moved Ted up into the 11th position right there. Here we've got a battle for the lead. Jack Sprague, our leader. Travis Quapple, the 24th truck. Remember, that 16 IWX Chevrolet, the Chevy Silverado, is the truck that Travis Quapple won that championship in last year. And now he's got it right in his sights.
Quapple faster through the corners than Jack Sprague, but then Jack Sprague looks as though he has more horsepower coming onto the straightaways.
Well, this track is mostly about handling. Everybody at this level has got solid horsepower. It's a matter of being able to get your foot in it down in the corner and keep your foot in the gas. That'll shoot you down the straightaway.
Lonnie Richardson came down pit road earlier and looks as though Lonnie's trying to get back out onto the track and get back up to speed.
Ricky Craven, Phil, has moved into the top 5. That truck looks extremely fast. We know he knows how to get around this racetrack. He knows how to get a truck set up for a track like this. So this is an encouraging sign for Craven early in the going.
After our first lap of green flag racing, we saw Todd Bodine come down the front stretch not running. What was going on, Ray?
Well, Rick, he just said on the radio he believes that they busted the timing belt on that new Toyota. He said the problem, oh, we got a caution. Terry Cook looks like he may have cooked the motor.
Wow. Smoke coming out of the back of the Ford number 10 of Terry Cook, that Power Stroke diesel.
Yeah, we heard Terry say she blew up pretty big, so it's going to be the end of his day. He's a former winner here at Loudon, won a couple years ago.
So that puts the odds down as far as a repeat winner.
Now what do you do, Phil? But let's start talking about a little bit of strategy. This thing is scheduled to go 200 laps, but darkness could become a factor. We pit right now, maybe get us enough gas to go to 150 and know that we can close the deal then.
Especially if we need an adjustment, Michael. If the truck's not right, let's come in right now. We know NASCAR, even though they have this caution flag here, they're still going to throw a caution in about 20 laps. But if we come in now, we're going to have track position. Everybody that comes in at lap 65 is going to have to restart this race behind us if we stay out then.
They leave the pit road closed. We'll be back with more action from New Hampshire. Green flag flies. Welcome back to New Hampshire International Speedway. That restart on lap 48. There were a few trucks that did pit on that caution, and that did not take away our competition caution, which is still scheduled to happen around 65. And problems with Tracy Hines in the 88. Now, Tracy Hines was one of the trucks that came in and did some work on the 88.
No caution flag yet. Michael, just as we talked about before we went away to break, some of those trucks that stopped, Mike Skinner, Dennis Setzer, Matt Crafton, they will probably stay out on the competition caution, and they will get track position over all the trucks up front right now that will pit them.
Take a look at what just happened to Tracy Hines.
See where Tracy is. There he is. Was there some contact right there?
That was Skinner he was racing with. Both of those are two of the trucks that had come to pit road, Phil. What these guys decided is it's lap 45. We need an adjustment. We're going to pit right now, and that's going to allow us to stay out at lap 65 while all the leaders pit. We'll have track position. We'll be in front of the field, and we're going to take advantage of that track position.
Shane Meal with an aggressive move on David Starr, just takes away third from Starr. And now Rudeman on the inside of David Starr.
Remember, we saw Shane Meal lose a position in Ricky Craven right before the caution flag. Now he's all the way up into the third position as we see David Rudeman try to drive by David Starr on the inside also.
David Starr holding his own on the outside, almost into the wall as he came off of turn 4, and he'll take back the 4th spot. David Rudeman drops back to 5th, and look who's in 6th. That is Ricky Craven in the 47.
Shane Meal's got a great truck right now. He's working a little bit higher than those two trucks in front of him. He may get some fresh asphalt out there, get a little more grip. Watch him. See if he goes a little bit higher than Travis Quapple. He is. Look, he's a full car truck width right now, wider than Travis Quapple.
I like that lane he's running. It gives him some options. When he gets to the corner, if the guys pinch him down, he can go up high. You can see here he's also got a good enough truck to drive down underneath another truck entering the corner. Quapple just gives him room. He knows Shane's got a fast truck, and he's really been on the move since the restart.
Shane Meal was running the high line earlier. That's got to be scary for a guy knowing that the track has been wet to make that initial move higher on the track.
Well, that pavement up there is a little bit different once you get really high on the track, and it seems to dry quicker. So I bet he had the confidence to know if he overshot the corner, slid up a little bit, there was some fresh pavement up there he could grab.
And he also probably tested it during the caution flag. He said, hey, let me go up there, let me jerk the steering wheel, see if the front end responds, let me jump on the throttle. If I don't spin the wheels too bad, I know I'm going to have some grip when I get up there.
Just over a 4th of this race complete as we've completed 52 laps. This battle for ninth, Robert Huffman in the Toyota number 12. Super Chips 99 of Carl Edwards on the outside, making the move, trying to take away ninth. Can't do it, holds on to 10th, and now he'll make the move as they go into turn 1.
That's the old crossover move. He tried him high, cut him off, so he shot it down to the bottom and tried to get the job done. Huffman's holding tough there on the outside.
See Carl drive down on the bottom of the racetrack. It's a little bit flatter down there. It's really hard to make that pass to get the power down and continue with full power all the way off the corner.
There's a lot of pressure on Carl Edwards today because he made the statement to his crew chief, Cowboy Starlin, that this was the best truck he's ever practiced.
Yeah, he told me the same thing. He said, I'm telling you, that was the best practice that I've ever had. Our truck series practices that I really like. I really hope we race today because I think our truck is going to be so good.
You see, he's almost got that pass completed down on the bottom of the track. Can't quite do it, but still a really strong move to be able to get underneath the truck and race down there.
See if Ted Musgrave can use that outside of the racetrack there. He knows Carl Edwards is trying to get by the 12 truck on the inside of the racetrack. We'll see who he's going to follow. Looks like he may follow Carl right now on this lap.
I think the 12 truck's pushing a little bit. He gets up high and slides up higher than he wants to. It's giving Carl the chance to get on the gas and now complete the pass off turn 2.
I was going to listen for his spotter to tell him clear, pull up to the outside wall. See if Ted Musgrave can pull off the same one. What a great run by Robert Huffman at Richmond last week. Career best 6th place finish. That team keeps getting better and better and better.
More confident. Robert Huffman trying to find the inside line as drivers keep pulling up on the inside of him. One of the drivers who moved back during our last caution was the number 6 of Matt Crafton.
One of the drivers that has moved forward steadily and consistently since the start is the 4 of Bobby Hamilton. He's racing up into the top 15 field, passing for 13th right now down the back straightaway. We were a little bit worried about the performance of that truck over the last few weeks. He's as good as anybody today.
Denny Rollins told us before the race, he said, hey, we never qualify. We got a battle for the lead. Look at Shane Meal on the inside. Little slide job.
Drove right by Jack Sprague. Shane Meal takes the top spot. He's the 2nd leader of this race.
Wonder how Slugger Labby's feeling down there. Is he hoping Greg Osborne has made it here or what?
A lot of pressure on the 15 team. We'll see how they do when we come back. Welcome back to the New Hampshire 200 live on Speed Channel. Shane Meal out in front of Jack Sprague and putting some distance between himself and 2nd.
Still Phil running a little bit higher than the other guys. Not all the way up against the outside of the groove, but certainly a half of truck width higher than the 16th following him.
He had the fastest lap that time at a 30.02. That was his fastest lap of the race. The track is getting better and better.
Side by side for 5th. Ricky Craven on the inside. Travis Kvapil on the outside.
Craven's going to finish this. Well,
in a minute he's got it.
You have to be patient here, Phil, when you get down on the bottom. It takes a lap or 2 to get your truck into a position where you can close the door on the cat you're racing with. Ricky's going to get it done now.
That was a deal where you just nail the throttle in the center of the corner. He said, hey, I know I'm going to have to back off, but if I get him cleared, get in front of him, then he's going to have to let me go.
Hank Parker Jr. with a very impressive run just behind Travis Kvapil, currently running in 7th position. He made the comment, I'd really like to have a good run here. After having a few sleepless nights after having their 2nd child, and now he looks to make the pass on Travis Kvapil to try to take over 6th position.
That's Robert Huffman's teammate right there, Hank Parker Jr. And that team is also getting better and better. He had a great 6th place run at Bristol just 2 races ago.
Lap 65, we mentioned competition yellow coming out.
The 24 truck of Travis Kvapil, I think, will be one of the trucks that'll be glad to see that competition yellow. He's steadily fallen back through the field since we went green flag racing.
You know, we talked about Bobby Hamilton moving forward. Well, Jimmy Spencer just passed Bobby Hamilton, and that was for the 13th position. Jimmy started all the way back in the 28th position, so he must have a great truck.
We've actually continued past lap 65. We're on lap 66 now, as they let the leaders go by without the competition yellow coming out.
We're probably going to deduct the caution laps that we ran when we had that caution flag
Battle
earlier.
for the lead, Phil.
They're side by side as they go through 3 and 4. Jack Sprague backed off. He let Shane Meal take over the top spot, and the competition yellow has come out. And so now it's going to be a little dicey because competition yellow comes out. Pit road is still untested by everyone. And so when they come down pit road, we don't know what's going to happen as far as how slick pit road might be.
I think they got a pretty good idea. It's fairly dry. The crews are reporting to them. Most of the teams have dried their stalls themselves. There's a nice dry streak down pit road, so I don't think we'll have any problems as far as that goes. I think it's going to be really interesting to see what some of these cats do for tire selection, Phil. We talked, Shane Mill ran his fastest lap, and Jack Sprague ran his fastest lap and the fastest lap of the race on lap 64. And so do we come in and just get gas? Probably not. We definitely need right side tires. Do we need 4? A lot of questions to be answered here.
I think you need to put on 4 now, Michael, and then you're good to go for about another 90 laps or so. You can go to lap 150, 155. So I think all these leaders are going to come in, and I think they'll put 4 tires on. But the fellows that pitted about 20 laps to go, I think they're going to stay out.
Well, what do you do if you're Jimmy Spencer? You've proven you've had one of the fastest trucks on the track, drove up from 28th to 13th. Does he just get 2 tires in order to try to get track position and battle these guys?
We'll find out. Here they come down pit road. Windy.
Shane Meals in for 4 tires, and Fuel Slugger Lobby is not going to be changing tires because Greg Osborne did make it through traffic. What they're doing is the left side tire 1 pound out on air pressure and round up on the track bar. As this is all a DEI team, we also see David Starr in for 4 tires and fuel. They're also making a track bar and an air pressure adjustment. Let's go to Ray Dunlap. A little bit of problems on the 15.
Well, Wendy, Jack Sprague is in, and they've decided to raise the track bar just 1 round. He said he's really good in 1 and 2, but a little tight in 3 and 4. So they'll go down 1 pound on the left side air pressure. He will get that service done. It looks like Sprague slips a little bit getting out of the pits. He just was a wet pit area here, so he slid a little bit, lost a few positions getting off pit road.
That's crazy action on pit road down there. Shane Mill almost got blocked in, was able to squeeze past Setzer. Setzer only made an adjustment on his truck, excuse me. He did not get 4 tires.
I think there are only 2 of the trucks that stayed out. Matt Crafton, the 6, and the 42 of Mike Skinner.
So Crafton takes over the top spot. We'll be back to see how all the pit stops shook out after these messages. Welcome back. The green flag just coming out. Matt Crafton and Mike Skinner stayed out as most of the other trucks in the field came in. And Crafton and Skinner now battling for the top spot.
You can see Shane Mill already, Phil, drove to the outside trying to make some progress around these guys on this start. Now to the inside of the 47 truck. You see Skinner to the inside as well. Those trucks make contact.
More contact. Watch Shane Mill. See if he makes it 3 wide here.
Shane Mill on the inside of Matt Crafton. Crafton backs off a little bit. Let Skinner take over the top spot. Shane Mill takes over 2nd. Crafton delegated to 3rd. And side-by-side racing for 4th. That's Hank Parker Jr. on the inside of the Spears Manufacturing 75 of David Starr.
Remember now, Shane Mill has about 20 laps less on his tires than does Mike Skinner. There's Ricky Cravens on board right there. You see Jack Sprague, the 16 Chevy truck, right on his inside. That's a battle for the 6th position right there.
And battle for the lead. Shane Mill on the outside tries to make the pass on Mike Skinner. When they come to the start-finish line, Shane Mill is our leader.
So he's getting through the corner. He's also got some really good DEI horsepower down the straightaway.
Yeah, and those engines that Richie Gilmore and his boys are producing right now are just amazing on these tracks. A mile, a half mile. They've got so much torque, and it happens so quickly. And Shane's got his stuff tuned up where he's able to take advantage of it.
Good battle right there. Bobby Hamilton, the square D Dodge on the inside. Jack Sprague on the outside.
What about Bobby Hamilton? Started back in 30th, 27th or wherever, and now he's battling with the pole sitter. That just goes to show you how important a good handling truck is here, how you can overcome a bad starting spot.
We started to say that before the caution came out a couple cautions ago, actually, that Danny Rollins, Bobby Hamilton's crew chief, said, hey, I think we have a really good race truck. We just never seem to qualify that well when we have an impound situation. We actually ran faster on our 60th lap than we did on our qualifying lap. So he thinks he has a good race truck, and it looks like it.
That's a big pack of trucks racing right there.
Dennis Setzer in the front of that pack, and that is Dennis Setzer actually in 14th position.
There's a 59 truck on the inside. Andy Houston is driving Jim Harris's Dodge this week. He looks like he makes the pass on Dennis Setzer. Big changes for that team. That team has now moved over to Bobby Hamilton's shop in Tennessee, and Bobby Hamilton is managing that team for Jim Harris. So now there are 3 trucks running out of Bobby Hamilton's stable. Bobby, Chad Chaffin, the Dickies Dodge, and the 59 Harris Trucking Dodge of Andy Houston this week.
A little bumping there between the 50 and the 1. John Wood on the inside and Ted Musgrave on the outside. We'll see if that continues as they make it through turns 1 and 2, and it does continue. Bumping and banging. As a matter of fact, that is going to end up in a spin, and John Wood goes spinning around as Ted Musgrave continues. That brings out caution number 4.
Now you could tell that was a big pack of trucks. You could tell that things were going to get dicey in that mess, and then it finally did. Yeah, they couldn't really figure out what happened there, Phil.
They got together, Michael. It looked like in the middle of the corner, and they never got apart. It looked like John was able to make the pass, but he never, I don't think, ever got away from Ted Musgrave. Ended up turning him into the outside wall. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened, what caused this incident. A lot of damage on the 50 truck. Here we are going in turn number 1. You see the 50 truck. He's going to make some contact with the 1 of Ted Musgrave. Right there, they made some contact. Ted stays with it on the outside. Watch John now. Watch him he tries to climb, doesn't quite climb, maybe gets a little bit loose.
And then I think tries to come up late in the going.
And Ted Musgrave's nose was already there, and it turns him right into the outside wall. A lot of damage.
Jimmy Spencer was in the 13 and made his way past these 2 as this was happening. You see the Menards 13 of Jimmy Spencer getting by just as that happens.
You know, when you're racing in that situation, the 50 truck got on the inside of the 1, and he tried to use him up. He run him up the hill, and Ted said, I ain't taking that, and he left it in there. They got together off 2.
We'll be back with more bumping and banging from New Hampshire.
All clear. Good job, bud.
Green flag flies. We're back underway. Shane Meal leads the field to the green flag at lap 80. Steve Park in the 62, we talked about, they changed an engine, had to go to the back. He's made his way all the way up to 7th position.
Mike Skinner looks to the inside of Shane Meal, not quite able to pull up beside him coming off turn number 2. See what he can do over here in 3 and 4.
Shane Meal was one of the drivers that came in under the competition yellow.
Got to crash off 4.
Problems. Andy Houston in the 59 has some serious damage to the front of that truck, and it looked as though the 12 of Robert Huffman has damage to the back of his Toyota.
Huffman got wide exiting 4, and when he hit the wall,
probably
Houston had nowhere to go.
Bounced off the wall, slowed his momentum, and probably Andy ran right into the back of him. You mentioned absolutely nowhere to go.
No caution.
Caution still hasn't come out. Robert Huffman definitely not moving fast enough on the track to stay on the track, so he drops down toward the infield, but he can't get off the track. Andy Houston on the access road coming into pit road.
You can see a replay here of the action.
Robert makes some pretty hard contact with the outside wall. Here comes Andy, absolutely nowhere to go. Looked like Jack Sprague, the 16 truck, pushed up and almost ran the 12 truck of Robert Huffman into the outside wall. It wasn't anything intentional, but that looks like that's what happened.
Well, and we're hearing from NASCAR immediately after this took place, the driver and crew chief of the number 1 truck. They have been asked to visit Wayne Auten, and problems.
That's
for
Ricky
Craven spinning in the 47, and that's not going to make him very happy.
A lot of damage to the front of that truck.
Wow, a lot of stuff just went down, guys. The 1 got reprimanded.
Ricky
47
Craven's
hits the wall. The 12 and the 59 crash.
You know what a big disappointment this is for Ricky Craven.
Hey, I was just watching, Phil. He was challenging Matt Crafton for the 3rd spot. I don't know what happened, but those 2 were racing hard for 3rd. Ricky came up with a short end of that deal.
Yeah, a lot of damage. It's more than likely will be terminal for that truck. They're not racing for points. See if we can take a look at what happens here.
He's on the inside.
Going down in the... He's got loose. We see it so many times.
That is so easy to have happen. Ricky just raced down there on the inside of the 6 truck, and watch, Phil, the back end just steps out right there as they enter the turn.
They did not make any contact until Ricky got sideways. Matt was able to drive away, but we see it so many times at so many different racetracks. These trucks are so vulnerable for the downforce on the rear when you drive down on the inside of somebody.
Ricky just needed the 6 to let off a little bit sooner so he could get that nose out in front of him, and it didn't happen. Matt drove down in there with him, and it caused Ricky to lose control of his truck.
I don't want to bring up bad memories, Michael, but that was very reminiscent of the 47 when you were driving it. Spinning around in turn 1 and the end of his night. Race 19 of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series comes to you from the 1.5 mile oval in the desert, the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, on Saturday, September 25th, live at 10 p.m. Eastern. Speed Channel will be there to cover the race live from start to finish. 7 races to go, starting at Vegas. Anything can happen in this chase for the Truck Championship. Green flag flies. Shane Meal out in front of Mike Skinner.
The 2 truck looks to the outside of Hank Parker. Look how wide. Too wide, Michael, that time.
Mike roughed him up a little bit. Got in the back. I don't know what precipitated Mike's ability to get to Shane. Shane's been driving off from him, but somehow Mike got to the back bumper, I believe.
And now Matt Crafton looking to get by Shane Meal as well.
Watch Jamie McMurray and Bobby Hamilton use the outside line to make some passes here.
Wow, I'm impressed with Bobby Hamilton today, Phil. People were talking about he hasn't been running like he was. Why is he qualifying so bad? What's happening to our point leader? He's put all that talk aside, raced himself right up into the top 10 and challenging for a top 5 spot.
You know, we talked about how good Carl Edwards was in practice, and he has not shown the speed in this race. He's currently being shown in the 12th position, but we expected him to drive right to the front of the field as we see Jamie McMurray make another pass on David Starr. That's the 4th position.
So Jamie McMurray takes over 4th, and right behind him, Bobby Hamilton follows and takes over 5th from David Starr. Starr slamming on the brakes as they go through 1 and 2.
I think he saw that he was going to run over Bobby Hamilton. He had to hit the brakes extra hard. Might have slid the tires a little bit, might have flat spotted him a little bit, but probably not long enough to do any damage.
Hamilton in 5th, David Starr 6th, Travis Quapple 7th.
We saw Quapple losing some positions early in the race. Said he needed a pit stop to make an adjustment. Looks like maybe they've addressed the problems with that truck. Rudiman swings to the inside of Hank Jr. coming down the front straightaway.
Jack Sprague was able to drive by Hank Parker Jr. That slowed Hank's momentum enough to give that run to David Rudiman. Look at Jimmy Spencer go on the inside.
Spencer's on it today, driving that 13 truck. We haven't seen that truck run this good in a while, and Spencer's flat giving a ride. Dives down into turn 3, straight to the bottom of the racetrack. Can he complete the pass on Rudiman?
Remember, he won this race last year. He was driving the Team ASA CarQuest Dodge number 2 that Jamie Murray's driving, so he knows how to get around this racetrack.
Shane has caught back up with Mike Skinner.
Skinner actually took the top spot away from Shane Meal. Meal was up in front. Skinner took it away, and now Meal has come back to try to catch up and take that position back.
Spencer completes the pass on Rudiman.
There's a shot of Carl Edwards right there. There's the 1 of Ted Musgrave, trying to work around the 21 of Hank Parker Jr.
A lot of action.
A lot of action up front, a lot of action in the back. Ted Musgrave now moving to the outside. Hank Parker Jr. just in front of him.
Shane Meal forces his way to the outside of Skinner to take the lead back, going down the back straightaway.
Mike gave him a little bit of room on the outside. Shane has really got that outside groove working. He's running as high on the racetrack as anybody here.
47 had problems, brought out our last caution, and the driver of the 47, Ricky Craven, is now with Ray Dunlap.
Well, he sure is, Rick. And Ricky, you're the most experienced guy at this racetrack, but it looked like it just got loose on you.
Yeah, we actually got together under braking, and yeah, I got a lot of experience here, but I don't have any experience in the truck series, and you know, just not knowing everybody. I mean, excellent group of racers and fun to race with. Just made one mistake there, and you know, got pinched getting into one, and I'd love to have it over again, you know, but you don't get that in this business. So, but first impression was that this truck series is for real. I mean, it was so much fun, and it's a shame that we're not here for the end of it because we had a truck capable of winning. But just make me hungry to come back.
Michael said he feels for you because the same thing happened to him here just a few weeks ago.
Yeah, you know, Michael told me that this is as much fun as he had all year, and he's right. You know, it's just good. It was good for me, and Michael, thanks for the advice. Call me if you have any more.
And guys, don't forget, Ricky makes his last appearance in the Tide Ride tomorrow right here at New Hampshire.
We probably would have told him not to drive down on the inside of Matt Crafton if we'd have had a chance there, Michael, wouldn't we?
Well, you know what? I think what Ricky did was a whole lot like what I did at IRP when I was driving Andy Petrie's truck. I just assumed that Ruderman would let me have the corner. I had driven up beside him. I dove down in there assuming he was going to give me room. He didn't. It put me in a compromising position. I think a whole lot like the same thing happened to the 47 just then. He assumed maybe Matt Crafton would give him some space, and he didn't get it. His teammates, the 46 truck, Whitney, do you have a report on those guys?
I do. Dennis Setzer did come in on lap 65. There was a little bit of pit strategy. Remember, he qualified 30th. He was trying to gain some track position, so they took gas only, no tires, but a track bar adjustment at lap 65. Dennis Setzer is complaining that he can't pass anyone. He's trying to figure this truck out. They're having a lot of problems. They will come back in, and they're guessing somewhere past lap 105. They will be in their pit window, so expect the 46 to come in once that yellow comes out.
46 running in 16th position. Side by side, there were 3 wide. Jack Sprague makes the pass on the inside of Travis Quapple and David Starr.
You see Travis Quapple waving at David Starr saying, man, I didn't mean to get into you. We see that so many times. The truck on the inside slides into the truck on the outside. Travis is saying, hey, David, I didn't mean it. Don't pay me back right here, please. Wendy, what more about Travis Quapple?
Travis's truck is not responding the way he wants it to after those changes. When they came in on the pit stop, they put 2 rounds in the right rear. Well, he's since told Eric Phillips, his crew chief, that change did not do anything to the truck. He said he's got to wait to get on the gas, and he's having a lot of trouble to get through traffic. They will come back in and make a wedge adjustment on their next stop.
A lot of position changes taking place from 4th all the way back through 10th.
You could see David Starr got right back around Travis Quapple. Travis wasn't going to fight David after what he did to him. David knew he got used up, and he attacked right back when Travis had got that spot back.
Travis was awfully quick to wave at him and say, buddy, I didn't mean to do that. And Travis Quapple does not drive like that. So I'm sure David Starr knew that, especially when Travis was trying to wave and say, man, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into you.
Good racing continuing in the Truck Series. Jimmy Spencer, the defending race winner, right behind Travis Quapple in 9th place right now. And he teams up with his crew chief that won this race a year ago, Dennis Conner, in the Menards 13.
And Dennis went over to the Thor Sports team a few weeks ago, and he also wanted to get Jimmy Spencer to kind of evaluate their equipment. They have a brand new truck here, and they wanted to see what they could do. And you see Carl Edwards move to the inside. Wendy, what have you got on Jimmy Spencer, number 13?
Jimmy Spencer did come in at that first round of pit stops and took 4 tires, air pressure, and a wedge adjustment, but his truck is still a little tight. They do plan on coming in and making one more stop on the next yellow. I talked to crew chief Lance Hooper, and the only complaint is that the truck's a little tight. But Jimmy Spencer, expect to see him come in on that next caution.
We've just made it to halfway, Rick. This race is official now. NASCAR will have to probably make a determination here within the next 15, 25 laps as to how long this race will actually go. They will let the teams know in plenty of time if they plan on shortening it up, running to lap 175, say, and that decision will have to be made here pretty quick. The caution's out now. A lot of times when a caution flies, they'll evaluate where they're at with the weather, understanding how the clouds will affect the darkness on the speedway, and let the teams know in plenty of time when the race is going to be over.
Now, Michael, do you think we're just past halfway? Nobody can make it all the way on fuel from here if we go to 200 laps. Do you think everyone's going to stop now thinking this race may end up short?
Well, that's a good question. I feel like there's a possibility it'll go all 200 laps. The skies have lifted. The ceiling has definitely lifted. There's some sunshine, bright skies off to the west. So it's interesting. We'll have to see what happens. But, Phil, like you said, it'd be interesting if you pitted right now and then they did say we're going to stop at 175. You'd be looking pretty good.
NASCAR is letting us know that the caution has come out because of moisture, and We heard somebody talking earlier about it coming underneath those safer barriers. Wendy, what's happening with the moisture on the track?
Well, listening to some of the drivers on the radio, actually the biggest complaint from Dennis Setzer, he's saying he doesn't think that it's going to be daylight long enough to go all the distance. So that could be a concern, not so much the moisture, but daylight as well.
Well, every time there's a caution, that certainly moves back the opportunity to get the thing all the way to lap 200. And I know NASCAR's working really hard right now evaluating that. But as we say this, Phil, you look off in the distance and the sun's shining. So they need to address the water seeping out from underneath the safer barrier in turn 1 and 2 and get that situation rectified.
The sunset's here just before 6:50. We see some of the leaders coming down pit road. Shane Meal stayed out.
As did Bobby Hamilton, David Starr. Most of the field pitted.
Shane Meal, Bobby Hamilton, David Starr, 1, 2, 3 across the start-finish line. Wendy, what have you got?
The 46 is in. No tires on the 46. I'm sorry, they're making lots of adjustments on the 46 truck. Let's go to right down left.
Hey, Mike Skinner is in, Wendy. Remember, he pitted first time on lap 45, so they had to come in. They went down 2 rounds on the track bar and put 1 round of wedge in it. They wanted to free him up a little bit. And Skinner said also, let's try to put a little tape on the bottom right side for the oil cooler. So they were tight in the middle. They freed up Skinner, and he knew he had to come in here and get fuel and tires. He believes this thing's going to go a lot longer than we think. He figures we're going to go the distance here and get in all 200 laps.
Track dryers out on the track to try to get the little bit of moisture that have seeped under the safer barriers. We'll be back with more action from New Hampshire. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series New Hampshire 200 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Federated Auto Parts. Professional advice, brand names, and all by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-size. Shane Meal out in front. He's led 37 of our laps so far. Jack Sprague has led the most laps at 58. A lot of those were run under caution at the beginning of this race. Tonight on Speed Channel, the ARCA REMAX Series heads to Salem Speedway. Frank Kimmel continues his relentless run for a record 6 championships. The ARCA REMAX Series live on Speed Channel tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. Pre-race show at 7:30.
Is leading laps here at Loudon. Of course, he's never led laps here in a truck race. This is his first truck race, but he has led in the Busch Series. Shane Meal is a little bit tight. They plan on coming in around lap 154. He pit in that first set of cautions lap 65, and they can only go 89 laps, so expect to see Shane Meal come in anytime after lap 154, Ray.
Hey, Wendy, how about Mike Skinner there? Mike Skinner came in, as I told you, they wanted to free him up. And as we take a look at the Toyota Spotlight today, we want to mention the fact that Mike Skinner was not really sure he wanted to pit right then, but John Monson, the crew chief, made the call there. So our Toyota Spotlight today goes for John Monson. He decided if they pit now, they can go the distance, and his truck gets better on a long run.
As the field goes down the backstretch, you see the shadows on the backstretch wall. That means the sun is now shining in Loudon, New Hampshire.
That's going to do nothing but help this racetrack. That's going to put a little more heat into the racetrack. It's going to make more adhesion, more grip. You know, the first 7 trucks stayed out that time, Michael. I'm not sure that was a good move. We heard Wendy tell us Kelly Sutton, the 0-2 has spun around. Caution is not out yet. Looks like she's going to get it going.
And I don't think the caution will fly, Phil.
The caution will not come out, but I'm not sure. We heard Shane Meal's going to have to pit around lap 150. I don't know why he wouldn't want to top off the fuel right now. Maybe save his tires for later. As we see Bobby Hamilton try to work to the inside. But go ahead, come in and top off the fuel, and then he's good to go till at least lap 180 or 190.
Well, he was leading the race. That's a tough position to be in. He stayed out, and then everybody behind him pitted. You know, they want to do something a little bit different than Shane because he's been so good. But check out Bobby Hamilton. He is driving up underneath Shane Mill. What a power move by the 4 truck. He's come so far today.
Bobby Hamilton, not a great qualifying effort. 23rd yesterday. Now he's on the inside. Last time these two were side by side, they ended up crashing each other at the end of one race. But Shane Mill still leads this race, and that means that Bobby Hamilton did not get 5 bonus points for leading, and Bobby Hamilton's our points leader.
I think we were a whole lot more worried about Bobby Hamilton than Bobby Hamilton was. I think Bobby Hamilton, Danny Rollins knew that they had a good truck. We see he wanted desperately to get up and get by Shane Mill to get those 5 points. But remember, as you mentioned, they had a problem at St. Louis. They were racing for the lead on one of the green right checkers. They made contact both hard into the wall, but right now they were racing side by side, never touched. Ray?
Hey, Phil, today Bobby is driving a truck they call Beavis. Now, he's only run it 4 times this year, but 3 of those have been top 10s. At Charlotte in Texas, he got a top 10, and at Atlanta, you'll remember the great finish where he went side by side with Mike Skinner for the win. Beavis was the truck that went to victory lane that day, and that's what Bobby's driving.
Now, Bobby Hamilton has driven that track, as Ray just mentioned, at all 1.5-mile tracks, and this is a just over mile track. How do these guys get away with using the same trucks for different tracks like this?
Bobby Hamilton told me that he thinks his Daytona truck would run anywhere on the circuit. These trucks, the rules NASCAR has are so tight with these trucks, there's very little difference between a Martinsville truck and a Daytona truck. So that's what's good about, they don't have to have 10 trucks in their stable. Bobby Hamilton essentially has 3 trucks that he races, and Chad Chaffin, his teammate, has 3 trucks that he races, and we run 25 races. So there's no way that you could have a specialized truck for Daytona and not be able to use it somewhere else.
And that's a tip of the cap to NASCAR. They've done so much with this Craftsman Truck Series with the rules. For example, the tire rule that they use in this series and the way the bodies have to be hung on these trucks. They've done a whole lot in this series to cut costs, to make it to where you can run a truck at Daytona and at Loudon if you choose to do so. And that's a tip of the hat to those guys.
I think we've got to tip our hat to NASCAR for getting this race underway today. We talked to everybody in the pits and in the garage earlier today, and everyone said there is no way this race is going to take place. And here we are at lap 117, and a great race taking place between Shane Mill and Bobby Hamilton for the lead.
They are running some of the fastest laps they have all day right now. Just 1 lap ago, Bobby Hamilton ran a 29.839, the fastest lap that he's run this entire race.
Side-by-side racing just ending between the 22 of Bill Lester and Carl Edwards. And sideways, going through 3 and 4,
no caution yet.
Chase Montgomery.
There comes the caution flag. It looked like Chase just got down on the inside of someone, a whole lot like Ricky Craven did into one, and lost the truck on entrance. Now he's getting her backed up and on his way.
He's not going to lose a lap. Chase was running up in the top 10. He's going to stay on the lead lap.
Now this caution coming out, we probably have a few trucks that were in fear of not being able to make it to 200. Will they jump in right now and top off?
See, there's David Rudem in the 17 truck on the inside of the 8 truck of Chase Montgomery.
Wow.
Looks like Chase, Jamie McMurray just gets by on the inside. Looked like he might have been just a little bit wide, maybe like he hung the right rear out. Michael in the loose stuff getting in turn number 3. Did a great job not getting that truck into the outside wall.
You can see some trucks coming to pit road, including our leader, Shane Mill. I think everybody's saying now we can make it to the finish. We're good on gas. Let's come in, get 4 tires, and get good gas. As Phil documented a minute ago, you can run your fastest lap on your tires after they've been 40 or 50 laps. So getting tires now, while there's still some 65, 75 laps to go, is a good move.
Quite a few trucks coming in, having service done on their vehicles. David Rudeman getting off pit road. Ray, what's happening with Bobby Hamilton?
Well, Rick, I'm not exactly sure what's going on down here. They were just talking about whether they should pit or not. Bobby Hamilton, just kind of like what Wendy said earlier, can go to lap 159. It's 118 or 19 now, and they decided not to pit. Now, I saw Jack Sprague came down and took fuel. Only a couple other trucks did the same thing. They believe they can go the distance on fuel now, but Bobby Hamilton can't make it. Not quite sure why these guys didn't pit here or what their philosophy is.
I don't understand that either.
Bobby Hamilton stays out. He leads laps, which means he gets 5 bonus points, but Bobby Hamilton is not points racing yet. We'll be back with more from New Hampshire.
Welcome back to New Hampshire. You see the Square D Dodge just came down pit road. Bobby Hamilton getting gas and right side tires only. What was their strategy? They needed to lead a lap. 5 bonus points were on the line. Hamilton had not led yet today, so he stayed out that last time to lead a lap. He'll give up all this track position now and go deep in the field, but he did it all for 5 points.
Yeah, but he's going to give up so much track position for those 5 points. I think he'll end up losing more positions, Michael, in finishing positions because of the track position he gave up to get those 5 points.
Yeah, Phil, there's 29 trucks on the lead lap. So and right now he's driving around some of them on the outside that are in the lead lap. So NASCAR might have to look at that.
Green flag flies. We're back to racing in New Hampshire International Speedway.
Michael, you're exactly right. We're hearing that the 4 truck of Bobby Hamilton will be black flag for jumping the start. You're not allowed to pass the trucks until they throw the green flag. You mentioned he was doing that. NASCAR's going to call him in for a penalty.
They had that black flag out before I even got it out. It was pretty obvious from here that you couldn't do what Bobby was doing. He was probably frustrated over that call. I don't think.
That was Danny Rollins communicating with Bobby Hamilton.
Oh, they're saying he jumped the restart by passing Chad or something, I guess. Come on back around, come on.
Bobby Hamilton obviously not happy about that call. Steve Park taking a page right out of Carl Edwards' notebook as far as starting at the back of the pack and making your way up to the front and leading the race.
I talked to Steve yesterday right after qualifying. He said we had a great truck and race trim, great truck and qualifying trim. Obviously, because we qualified second, we had to change engines, and there's a black flag. We're seeing for Bobby Hamilton, he's definitely going to be black flag for a pass-through penalty.
Ray?
Guys, on the radio, Bobby's saying that the 22 waved him by, and he went to the outside to go around him, and the other trucks had pulled down to the inside, and that's the sign that if you're up there, you let the guy go. They waved him by. Bobby made the move. He's now discussing it with NASCAR, but they said, you've got one more lap to come in or we'll pull your scorecard.
That's an argument you're not going to win very often, and Bobby comes to pit road. We got a battle for the lead, Jamie McMurray and Steve Park. I know Park's going to have some gas here before long, though, Phil.
This is very reminiscent of a year ago for this 2 truck. Jimmy Spencer was in it both at Richmond and then coming here to Loudon. And at Richmond, he had a very strong truck but got taken out. Now, on the opposite end of that, Jamie McMurray had a great run at Richmond, but Jimmy Spencer came to Loudon and won the race, and Jamie McMurray now in position to do just that.
I'm showing Steve Park's last pit stop about 40 laps ago, so he definitely will not be able to make it to the end of this race.
It's a good view from Jamie's truck, just seeing what it looks like to be chasing the leader.
Here are the winners in the 2 truck. These are the different drivers that have won driving the 2 truck.
Those are all the different drivers that have ever driven the 2 truck. You see, Andy Houston is the only driver that ever drove the 2 truck that has not won. Jimmy McMurray also hasn't won, but he's only driven it once, and that was a second at Richmond last week. He's trying to change it. He's trying to add his name to the list of winners in the 2 truck.
Steve Park doesn't want any part of it. He wants to stay out in front and lead the rest of this race, but as you mentioned, it might be impossible on fuel.
Now, you see, this is what's so great about what the Bears have done here at New Hampshire International Speedway. You saw the view from inside of Jamie McMurray's truck. Steve Park here is running in the middle of the racetrack. He has chosen the middle of the racetrack in order to make his way around the turn. Look, Jamie says, here's an option. I'm going to go to the bottom and look around. That's why you race so well at this track, because there's more than one groove, and that's what's so good about these trucks. And when you see them on a track like this, they get all over each other because of the tremendous aerodynamic wake they leave behind them. They blow big holes in the air. It allows trucks to keep up with one another.
And Michael, quite frankly, before the Bears redid this racetrack, you didn't have that side-by-side racing typically. It was pretty much a follow-the-leader, one-groove racetrack. They said, hey, we're going to fix that, and here we are with side-by-side racing.
And Steve Park is hugely popular up in this part of the country.
Bobby Hamilton was black flagged earlier for this move right here.
You see here, Brandon Witt is on the lead lap, as is the 8 truck of Chase Montgomery, and those were all trucks that Bobby was supposed to be behind. How he got ahead of them, I don't know whether they laid over or what they did, but you're supposed to restart behind all the trucks on the lead lap because he was the last guy there.
Michael, check this out. Points as of now. That will put Dennis Setzer, if this race ended right now, that would put Dennis Setzer back in the point lead and Bobby Hamilton back to 4 behind. Carl Edwards moves up inside of 50 and Matt Crafton inside of 100. What a point race we have.
But there's a lot of stuff that's going to have to go down before this race is over.
It's not quite over yet. It's not quite over yet.
Some of these guys leading Steve Park for sure is going to have to make another pit stop. Hamilton's all set on gas. Shane Mills all set on gas, but he's running back in the 14th position. He's got trapped in traffic and can't get anywhere. What about the 03 truck of Denny Hamlin? He's running 3rd and running the leaders down.
What a great job. You know, his very first race at IRP ended up with a top 10 finish. What a terrific job. You see Johnny Benson racing so hard on the inside of Rick Crawford. He had such a poor truck yesterday. I kept listening to him in practice, and he said, I cannot feel the front end. I cannot turn this truck. They made so many changes, and here he is. He's been in the top 10 for the last 50 laps.
All the way up to the 6th position, and that truck is fast. Johnny is driven away from Rick Crawford when he cleared him there. He's got Dennis Setzer behind him. Hank Jr. here, you're looking out the front of his truck, and Johnny's driving away from these guys.
Johnny runs extremely well when he runs that truck. He had a great 4th place run the first time he got in this truck at Michigan.
Hank Barker Jr. in 9th, taking a look ahead at Dennis Setzer. As we mentioned, if the race would end right now, Dennis Setzer would be our new point leader.
What Bobby Hamilton needs desperately right now is a caution flag. He needs a caution to catch up with this field so we can start passing some of these trucks. He's got a great truck. He ran the fastest lap of anybody that time on the racetrack, but he's got to have a caution flag to catch up because he's 27 seconds behind the leader.
But if you're going to be greedy, Phil, let's go ahead and wait 30 or 40 laps and get that caution flag that Bobby wants so that some of these guys will have to make green flag pit stops, and that'll put him ahead of them for sure. So Bobby's probably wishing for a caution, but kind of wondering when he needs it. It might be now. Maybe it's at 30 or 40 laps.
But even if it comes out now and they pit, he's still going to be ahead of them because he's going to have track position, because I think Bobby Hamilton will definitely stay out. I don't think he's going to make that mistake again.
At the beginning of the show, I mentioned 8 races at New Hampshire, 8 different winners. Right now, the highest scored driver that has a win here is Dennis Setzer. He's in 8th position. Wendy, what's going on?
At that last caution, our leader Shane Meal did come in and pit. He's running 12th right now. He came in for tires and fuel, but no adjustments on that truck on that lap 119 pit stop. He was complaining that the truck was a little tight in the middle, but he says, I'm going to go without any adjustments. I don't want to take any chances, but he did say that that track does keep seeping in turns 1 and 2.
He'll probably know that first, because as high as he's running, the water is coming down from the outside wall. So as high as he's running, he's going to feel it before anybody else.
Jack Sprague just in front and running higher than Shane Meal. Meal going down a little bit lower on the track now and rubbing. 15 and 16 getting into each other. Jack Sprague on the outside, Shane Meal on the inside.
Look at the left rear tire of Jack Sprague. You can see he knocked all the paint off the tire. The Goodyear Wrangler truck tire has yellow letters on the side of it. Shane got into that tire. Hopefully it didn't cut Jack's tire. We'll have to see.
Or damage the valve stems. A lot of times you get into a tire like that, it'll damage the valve stem. Oh, it's Matt Crafton turning around. Caution flag is out. Matt did a 360, didn't lose very many positions.
What happened, Ray? Do you have something on the 6? What happened over there?
Well, yeah, Michael, I was just about to tell you what great shape Matt Crafton was in, because they pitted on 104 and got fuel. They don't need to pit again, but maybe now that they spun, they do. I wanted to let you know that Steve Park, who's leading this race, has got to come in before 150, and you guys were talking about the great run of Denny Hamlin. He's got to come in before 160, so I believe all those guys will be to pit road now to get the fuel, but Crafton didn't need to pit.
And you had mentioned this would be opportune for Bobby Hamilton if a caution would come out.
Yeah, he'll take advantage of this and gain a whole bunch of track position. There's Crafton being followed closely by Waffle. Wow.
And that pretty much tells that story.
Do you think there was something that happened prior to that we need to know about in order to know the whole story? That looked like payback a little bit.
And then Travis Kvapil does not drive like that, so you just wonder if maybe something happened on the other end of the racetrack. But there was obvious contact right there between Travis Kvapil and Matt Crafton. So pit road is open. I'm sure here comes Steve Park. We definitely will see our leader.
Steve Park coming down pit road, as does Denny Hamlin in the 03. The 6 of Matt Crafton coming down pit road, and also Mike Skinner, Jimmy Spencer, and Ken Schrader. Ray?
Well, this caution was a break for the Orleans Dodge. Steve Park was going to have to come in, and it could have been under green, so now they get to do it under yellow. You see they put a round and a half in the wedge on the left side. Right side tires get done. Harley Roush on the front tires. Trent Wilson on the back. These guys get the tires done, pull them off. They go to work on this left side. Plenty of fuel in this thing, and Park will go back to the racetrack.
Steve Park gets out of his pit behind Ken Schrader and Denny Hamlin. And as Steve Park came off the track, our leader, Jamie McMurray, takes over the top spot at New Hampshire International Raceway. Welcome back to Loudon, New Hampshire for the New Hampshire 200. Jamie McMurray out in front. We had some trucks that needed a caution to come out for a pit stop, and it came out.
We knew Steve Park needed a caution because he didn't have enough fuel. Denny Hamlin also had to come in. Matt Crafton spun, so he had to come in and probably get those tires off as we get ready to go back to green. But Bobby Hamilton came in. I think he had a good chance to overcome his mistake by staying out, getting by all the trucks that were on pit road, but he came on pit road.
Yeah, he took on left side tires, so now he's ready to go to the finish for sure. We'll see how much ground he can make up. He would have restarted in that 20th position, but now he's restarting in the 30th position, 26th position, so he's got a lot of trucks to pass. I guess he decided 6 positions was enough to give up to get the left side tires that he needed.
Jamie McMurray, now our newest leader at New Hampshire. What's happening with Jamie, Wendy?
Jamie Mack did make a pit stop on lap 104. They made a wedge adjustment to free it up. The truck was a little tight. They also took 4 tires and fuel. The problem is they might be a little short on fuel. They're taking their chances by not coming in and pitting and topping off. They feel their only competition is the 15 truck on the track. They see him moving through the field, so Shane Meal might be their only competition. Also on the 24 at Travis Kvapil, they also feel like they're short on fuel. They came in at the same time on lap 103, so the 24 and the 2 rolling the dice today.
I'll tell you, Michael and Rick, that's a long way to go on fuel. I know we have some caution laps that they will get a little bit better mileage because of that. But over 95 laps, which is a little bit more than 95 miles, unless this race should go short because of darkness. If they call this race short of darkness, then obviously Jamie McMurray and Travis Kvapil are going to be okay. If it goes a distance, it's going to be really close.
And as we look across the track, we can see the trees in the background. The sun is scheduled to set on this track at 6:47, which means it's going to begin to get darker as we have passed 6:30. So the sun has begun to go down. There's no more sun on the track, and so Shane Meal and the rest of the trucks are going to be giving chase to Jamie McMurray just in case this race gets short.
Well, that Shane Meal, he's not taking any chances at all. He's passed a truck each lap since we went back to green. Now he's up to the 4th position, and he's coming up on Johnny Benson, and Johnny is catching the leaders. He's extremely fast in that Toyota truck, so as he goes forward, Phil, trucks become more and more difficult to pass.
We've got 56 laps to go right now, so these trucks lap this racetrack at about 30 seconds, so that's 28 minutes. Right now, that would be after 7 o'clock, after the sun is scheduled to set, so it'll be interesting to see how much light there is, even though the sun is set.
Side by side for 5th position, Dennis Setzer on the inside of Rick Crawford.
Crawford's had a strong run, and of course we talked about Dennis going to the back at the very start. He's recovered nicely, racing inside the top 5, putting the pressure on Bobby Hamilton to gather up some points, get his stuff back to the front. Bobby has raced up to the 20th position at this point.
Michael, you see Dennis Setzer. Watch that veteran move now. He was completely side by side with Rick Crawford as they make a little contact there. But when he got down the corner, instead of taking the chance on that truck getting loose, he backed off, let Rick Crawford go down in the corner, and then tries to beat him through the center. And and tries to make his pass off the corner instead of going in the corner.
In the back of the pack, we see the 16 of Jack Sprague. He sat on the pole to start this race. What's going on with Jack, Greg?
Well, Rick, he's in the back of that pack, but still running 9th right now, but he might not be for long. I just heard him say on the radio, sounds like a valve spring just broke. We may be losing another motor. That has been a big problem for this team this year. Today, Hutter, engine power underneath that 16. Apparently, they'll go back to Mark Smith when we go to our next race in Vegas, but right now, Sprague complaining that he may have broken a valve spring.
Phil, it looked like from that in car, he got down the back straightaway pretty good. So,
well, we heard Hank Parker have to get off the throttle to keep from running in the back of Jack Sprague. So there may be something to that. But they had a great straightaway right there. He was able to open up a little distance on Hank Jr.
I think Sprague got sideways off too. Hank ran up on him, but then I thought that that he was able to drive away from him in that 16 truck once he got aimed in the right direction.
Side by side for 10th, Carl Edwards and Ted Musgrave. Edwards holding on to the 10th spot. Musgrave trying to take it away. Carl Edwards on the high side of the track. Musgrave running the low line.
See, Shane Meal has caught Johnny Benson for third. Now he goes by on the outside. Michael, as you mentioned, when he gets to him, he passes him.
He's not worried about where they're running because he's going to run where they're not. And he just drives right around the outside of them. I think he's going to make quick work of these two leaders, the pace he's setting.
I really do, too. We heard Jamie McMurray is the only truck he's worried about right now is Shane Meal, and he is coming.
Shane Meal restarted at 8th and now has made his way up to 3rd. Shane Meal getting a little high going through 1 and 2. Wendy, what's happening with Shane?
Shane Meal is well aware that his tires are a lot fresher than his competition. Remember, he came in at lap 119. He's just working his way through the field, picking them off one by one.
He's got to feel good with 50 laps remaining of the scheduled distance to be within almost a second of our leader.
For the second consecutive lap, he had the fastest time of our leaders right there. When he passed Johnny Benson on the outside, he still ran the fastest lap of anyone on the racetrack.
Well, when you get that close, Rick, it doesn't, second, half second, 3 seconds, it doesn't matter. You can see you're catching those guys. You can see your truck's faster than theirs. You're just dead set on getting the lead, and Shane will race up there and make a battle out of this in a hurry.
You know, he's tried so hard to win one of these races this year. He's had a great 2 second-place runs earlier this year. Bristol was the most recent one. You see right there the speeds at the line. Again, he was the fastest truck. But he will win one of these races, and he wants to win one so bad. Billy Ballou has spent so much of his own money trying to put this truck on the racetrack. He's got so much help from DEI this year with engines. Richie Waters, they built a lot of new trucks. They've been competitive week in, week out. They haven't quite got the win. Today may be the day.
And how many do you think they'll get when they finally win their first one? I believe they can knock several down after that.
It's going to open the floodgate, I think. When you get that first one, that's so hard to get. It seems like they all come easier after that.
Jamie McMurray looking for his first truck win as well, out in front of Travis Quapple, our defending champion in the Truck Series.
We talked early in the race about Travis Quapple having one of the strongest trucks in practice yesterday, but when the race started, he fell back. So that pit crew, those guys down on pit road have done a great job of making adjustments to that 24 truck and getting him right back in the thick of battle. I think he's a little bit faster than Jamie right now, but not enough to get up there and battle him.
Shane may show him a line if he was able to drive by these two trucks that Travis may be able to use to try to get by Jamie McMurray. But you know, we got to make sure that when Shane Meal gets there, that he doesn't get the dreaded arrow push. Now, as easy as he's been able to pass these other trucks, it doesn't appear that that's been a problem. But it looks like once he got to these fellas, his progress is slowed just a little bit. He was still the fastest truck on the racetrack, but not quite as fast as he was able to run a few laps ago.
These 3 trucks have pulled away from the pack. Bobby Hamilton trying to make his way through the slower traffic that he actually put himself behind by getting black flagged at the previous restart.
And I think that's interesting to see there, Phil. That shows you how important track position is. We saw Denny Hamlin in the 03 there running the leaders down in 3rd spot, put him back in traffic, and he can't seem to go anywhere. That's what Bobby Hamilton's faced with right now, some heavy traffic. Ray, what's going on in the pit with the Ford truck?
Well, Michael, just remember, he restarted 26th, and with that pass right there, Bobby Hamilton moves up to 17th, and he's going to battle with Hamlin and these guys, so he is on the way. And remember, this has not been a very good racetrack for this truck and for this driver. Bobby Hamilton, 23rd is is his average finish in his Cup races here, and 17.5 in his Truck Series races here. So he said that he does not really like New Hampshire, but with all the adversity these guys have seen today, here he comes. He's on his way back towards the front. I don't think he can get to the front, but he's making his way through the pack.
44 laps to go. Bobby Hamilton being shown in 18th position. He would be our leader, continuing if he's able to finish in this position, and Dennis Setzer doesn't move up enough positions to take over the spot.
Nice recovery. He lost the point lead there for 40 or 50 laps, and now he's got it back.
And every truck is going to be right now 3 more points. Every truck he can pass is 3 more points to add to his total.
Jamie McMurray continues to lead at New Hampshire International Speedway. Looking back from him, Travis Kvapil trying to get his 2nd win for Toyota. Coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series New Hampshire 200 on Speed Channel is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. And by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab, not just big, life-sized. Jamie McMurray's question is, can he make it all 200 laps?
And another question he's going to answer is, can he hold off Travis Kvapil? Travis is turning up the heat on Jamie.
Travis been right on his tailgate there. See, Shane Meal has fallen back about a 2nd half behind this group. He had run this group down. Michael was able to pass those other trucks so easily. But once he got there, then he's backed up a little bit. I don't know if he got an arrow push or what happened, but he's about a 2nd half behind Travis Kvapil and Jamie McMurray.
It had to start pushing. He was so fast on new tires that the thing must have been perfect, and now either his air pressures have built up too much or his truck just simply started to push, because we're experiencing our coolest track temperatures right now. So maybe Wendy did you find the crew chief on the 15, Wendy?
I sure did. Richie Waters is here on top of the pit box. Shane Meal seemed to be knocking him out one by one, and when he got up to Travis Kvapil, he seemed to slow down. What is it with the truck?
Yeah, I think we used the tires a little too hard, too quick, trying to get from the back to the front. Now the truck's a little bit tight as the track's cooling off too, so we can just ride, see what we can get here. Hopefully them other 2 guys got a pit yet.
Now we know Shane Meal, how he can sometimes get, what are you saying on the radio to keep him calm?
I want to hear what you said, I'm sorry.
I said, what are you saying to Shane Meal on the radio to keep him calm?
I'm just trying to keep him calm right now, try to keep the fenders on it. That's all you can do. I'm hoping them other 2 guys got to stop for gas yet.
Well, unfortunately for Richie Waters, those other 2 trucks do not have to stop. They're taking the gamble today, so we'll see where Shane Meal ends up at the end of this race.
Well, Wendy, we don't know that they don't have to stop. They're not planning on stopping, but they may have to, whether they like it or not. But that's a lot of laps to go. They both pitted on lap 104. Wendy, what's going on with the 15 again?
I just want to add on Jamie Mack. Actually, when I talked to Trip Bruce, the crew chief, he said, hey, Wendy, we have nothing to lose today, so we are definitely taking the chance. We will not be coming in.
Those 2 are staging quite a battle here late in going. The tires are getting older. Like Richie Waters said, the track conditions have changed somewhat. It's cooler now than it's been all day long. But yet these 2 are glued together at the front of the pack.
Travis looked like he might have an opportunity there in traffic as they were lapping up by the 29 truck of Deborah Renshaw. Looked like he thought he might have a shot to maybe go by Jamie McMurray. You see him try to work the inside, just can't quite get the power down to pull up beside Jamie. Jamie's running a perfect line for him. He's keeping Travis pinned down to the bottom. He said, hey, if he's going to try to pass me, he's going to have to do it on the bottom of the racetrack. It's hard to get a bite down there. It's a little bit flatter.
And I guarantee you that little performance last Thursday night in Richmond, Virginia made Jamie McMurray 1,000 times hungrier to win one of these races. He was so close to winning that race last Thursday night and couldn't get the job done. He's in the same position again, right there at the front, but yet he's got a guy all over him.
Travis Kvapil looking on the inside of Jamie McMurray. Kvapil's best finish in Loudon was 2nd back in 2001.
You remember Jimmy Spencer won this race in that 2-truck last year, and that was his 2nd ever Craftsman Truck Series start. Now that's Jamie McMurray's 2nd start in that 2-truck. He's got a number of other starts. Before he went to the Busch Series, he ran a number of races in the Craftsman Truck Series.
In fact, that's how Jamie got on the map. He jumped in one of these trucks and shot it right to the top of the speed charts in Michigan one day. And everybody said, Jamie who? And it wasn't long before everybody knew who Jamie was.
That was that 41 truck. He also set in a pole at Nashville that year and ended up with a third-place finish at Nashville, which was his best career finish until that race at Richmond last week.
About 2 laps ago, Travis Kvapil came out a little bit wide and almost brushed the wall, and it looks as though he's dropped back just a bit from Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, a couple of trucks that are really charging toward the front, and if we get a caution here late in the going, it'll be interesting to see what they can do with these guys. The 16 of Jack Sprague and the 99 of Carl Edwards are both faster than our leaders consistently, and they're going to be factors before this thing's over if the caution comes out. They're so far behind that they can't do anything without a caution.
If a caution would come out now or any time in the next 20 laps, we would have one kind of a finish for this race.
Jack Sprague has made his way up to 5th. Ray, what's happening with Jack?
Well, guys, the engine is still missing on that Chevy Silverado, but they're not sure that it's a valve spring. It might be something in the ignition. They don't know. As he comes down into turn 1, it definitely coughs a little bit, but they're still making good time on the racetrack. Remember, Sprague was on the pole today, and there's $18,000 up if he were able to win this race. They continue to remind him on the radio that the front couple of guys might be very close on fuel.
And Ray, they can remind him also that he was the fastest truck on the track that lap, whether his motor's missing or not. He's getting the job done on as far as lap times go.
Yeah, there's no question he could have a little small problem, but it's probably an inner valve spring, which just affects the very top end here. Probably will obviously not hurt his lap time much, because you mentioned, Michael, he was the fastest truck on the racetrack.
Travis Kvapil, the last lap, was the fastest truck on the lead, and if a caution doesn't come out, it's not going to matter, because Jack Sprague and Carl Edwards are almost 12 seconds behind our leader. Jamie McMurray continues to lead at New Hampshire International Speedway. Back to the Sylvania 200 presented by Lowe's on Speed Channel. Side-by-side racing. Travis Kvapil is shown in front of Jamie McMurray. Our Toyota spotlight today, the Line-X Toyota making the pass, and yet giving the spot back up. But it's only a matter of time. These two have battled for lap after lap, almost 30 laps now. These two have been side by side or nose to tail.
And guess who's coming to the party if they don't get this resolved right quick? Shane Meal has found him a line and has turned up the heat in that number 15 Chevrolet. He is coming.
And running very fast laps right now.
Jamie McMurray had the fastest lap of the top 3 that time at a 30.33. Shane Meal just a little bit behind that at 30.39.
I thought Travis had the deal done right there. He got on the outside of him.
I thought it was all over. Right now you have everybody out. You have Jamie McMurray right now telling his spotter, and his crew chief, tell NASCAR it's really, really dark out here. And what's Travis Kvapil saying?
He's saying, I can see fine. And Shane Meal saying, I can see fine too. They want to run this deal to lap 200. And as a race car driver, Phil, I can promise you they can see fine. Your eyes adjust. There's plenty of light here to race this deal to the end.
Wendy, what's happening with Travis?
We just wanted to update you on Travis Kvapil and the chassis that he's running tonight. This is truck number 7 for Travis Kvapil. It's actually a truck that he's never run before. This truck did run earlier in the season, but it was with driver Mike Skinner, and it had a number 42 on the door. Mike Skinner ran this truck when he was with Bang Racing back in Milwaukee, and that day he finished 29th. Not a great finish for Mike Skinner. The truck came back to Bang Racing. Travis Kvapil on the track tonight and showing that it's a pretty good piece out there.
Under 20 laps to go, and our leader is now coming up on slower lap traffic. That's going to play a big part in the end of this race.
Heavy slower lap traffic and good trucks. I'm talking Denny Hamlin, Steve Park, Bobby Hamilton, Chad Chaffin.
Jimmy Spencer.
These are the guys that these leaders are going to catch here in the next 5 or 6 laps. It's going to have a definite effect on the outcome of this race.
There's Travis on the outside again.
Travis Kvapil to the outside, trying to make the pass on Jamie McMurray as they come out. They're sliding sideways. Travis Kvapil on the outside, Jamie McMurray, they're 3 wide going into turn 3. Jamie McMurray has the preferred line, you would say, but Travis Kvapil's been running high on the track.
Watch Jamie move up the racetrack. He's trying to use up the racetrack, and he was almost able to do it. Couldn't quite clear Travis Quapple, see what Travis can do back down in turns 1 and 2.
And you see that orange truck slipping up from the back. He's licking his chops saying, come on, guys, rub together. Get sideways again. You do that, and I'll be there. You can see Travis just cannot keep beside Jamie. Jamie's doing a great job of taking Travis's room away from him.
And here comes Shane Meal.
Travis gets up beside Jamie McMurray, and Jamie said, hey, I'm moving out.
Slow car here, south.
Oh, wow.
Now that's going to bring a few cats into play here.
I didn't need that caution, Phil. I'm having a hard enough time surviving as it is. This truck racing is so cool. You never know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to win until the dang thing's completely over. Shane Mill is fixing to make that battle 3 wide, and I've already talked about how fast Jack Sprague and Carl Edwards are. They're going to be right up in the middle of this deal for a 10-lap sprint to the end.
The caution coming out as Kelly Sutton wasn't able to keep the truck up.
Breathe, Michael.
Minimum
Breathe.
speed. So Kelly Sutton comes in, has some work done on the 0-2. Now Jamie McMurray has to worry about not only Travis Quapple, but Shane Meal, Johnny Benson, and Jack Sprague and Carl Edwards. Your top 6 right now, all in contention to win this race.
Unbelievable, too. And you never know what happens with these truck races. If Travis Quapple and Jamie McMurray get to racing for the lead and they get together, we've seen it so many times where Shane Meal could take advantage and drive by both of them. And Johnny Benson could do the same thing. Unbelievable.
Johnny's driven this thing right up to the 4th spot from a qualifying spot way in the back. We didn't see that one coming. Shane Mill, we thought, was going to dominate this race, and now he's just struggling to keep pace with Travis and Jamie. And now here comes Sprague and the 99.
Hey, let's talk to Johnny Benson and ask him how dark it is out there. He's running 4th right now. I'm sure he's going to say, we got the time to finish this thing.
Hey, JB, it's Michael up in the speed booth. You got time to give me a weather report, visibility, all that stuff? We're going crazy up here.
I'll tell you what, Mikey, it's, you can see the yellow line down on the bottom, but it's pretty tough to pick the groove out now. So it's getting a little dark, and I'm sure if they stopped for that darkness, I don't think anybody was going to complain about it. But if they run it, they run it, and if they don't, either way, it's a good race for the Toyota Tundra. Like I say, got to really thank the guys who did a lot of work this weekend.
Well, I got to look. If they go back to green, I got to warn you about something. The 99 and the 16 behind you are coming. They're hauling. But then you got these 3 cats in the front that seem like maybe it's no holds barred now. They've already crowded each other into the wall. Whew. What do you think about all that?
Well, I guess I'm glad I'm in the middle of it. I mean, it's literally right in the center of it. So maybe it'll work out for us. If not, hey, you know, it's a great day for us. And like I say, we're just struggling here a little bit at the end, but we've been on the whole race on the left side and put that first right side on pretty early, so we've been on these babies for a while.
All right, well, go get them. I promise you it's going to get nuts. As Kenny Wallace has said at IRP, they're all going crazy down there, and that's what's happening, so be ready. I'm going to throw it to Ray because he's got a report on the 16. If it's anything I think you need to know, I'll call you back.
All right, thanks, guys. Like I say, it'll be interesting.
Hey, Michael, just be aware the interval between Jamie McMurray and Sprague was 11 seconds. Now it's down to almost nothing. In 1996, Jack Sprague finished 2nd at this racetrack. You know why? Ron Hornaday passed him coming off turn 4 on the very last lap, and Hornaday only led 1 lap that day. They just reminded Sprague about that on the radio. They said, you've got time to get up there. An 11-second interval's been wiped out, and I believe what you said. Sprague and Carl Edwards could be a big factor.
Now, by the magic of television, we're able to shade cameras and bring out the light a little bit better with shading of these cameras. So this is what it looks like right now for a driver. You can see the lights on the pace truck.
It's pretty dark, but Michael, as you said, hey, you're gonna adjust. Right now, Jamie McMurray's not thinking about darkness. He's not thinking about anything but keeping Travis Quapple and all those hungry cats behind him.
Pace truck makes its way down pit road. Jamie McMurray leads the field to the green flag, and we're back underway in New Hampshire.
I can promise you contact before the race is over.
Maybe multiple times. Look at Travis, looks to the inside, not quite able to work. Travis Quapple's move is on the outside. He's able to pull up beside Jamie McMurray on the outside. I'm not sure he can do it on the inside.
Oh, problems. Bill Lester in the Old Spice 22 slides up into the wall in turn number 2. No caution has come out as of yet. He tries to get it back up to speed and will. And now they're side by side for the lead as they come out of turn 4.
Well, just as I said, Travis couldn't do it on the inside. He's trying to do it. We heard Jamie McMurray have to pedal the throttle coming off the corner. Look at Travis clear him down in the corner.
Travis knew.
Clear. Be smooth. Try to pull away from him. Be smooth, baby. Be smooth.
There's the radio transmission. Travis knew that Jamie had used him up a little bit. He had split up into Travis to keep him from passing, so he used that. He said, when I get to the corner, I'm going high and taking you with me if I have to.
It's like there's going to be no other truck there because I've got the groove.
Eric Phillips telling him, be smooth, pull away from him, and he's doing just that.
Oh, wow.
Now Shane Meal, see if he can do anything with Jamie McMurray and try to chase down Travis Quapple.
Travis has got that thing in the front for the first time all day, and it's liking it. It's liking the way it's feeling out in that clean air.
Quapple becoming the 8th different leader of this race. Jack Sprague has led the most laps at 58. Shane Meal and the two of Jamie McMurray both have 50 laps of leading. And Travis Quapple just takes his 2nd lap of leading right there with just 11 laps to go.
See Johnny Benson, the 23 Toyota, right up behind the 15 of Shane Meal. There goes Jack Sprague to the outside, seeing if he can move up another position on Johnny.
And Johnny's looking to grab 3rd away from Shane. We talked about Shane's trucks pushing. He's got that push, and Phil, as a race car driver, it's the most helpless feeling in the whole world. You've been cruising along with your truck, and it's perfect, and all of a sudden off turn 4 one time, you got to add a little bit more steering input, and you say, oh, wow, that's not normal. I had to turn a little bit more. The next lap, more and more, and all of a sudden you just feel like the steering wheel isn't even in your hands anymore.
And then you got to back off the throttle because when you turn the steering wheel, it doesn't help anymore. You see Johnny Benson trying to get by Shane Meal on the inside. We just got a report that the 14 truck of Rick Crawford has been black flagged.
Inside of 10 laps, Travis Quapple across the start-finish line was the fastest truck on the track.
David Rudeman coming into view at the back here. He's driven up beside the 99 of Carl Edwards. We talked about Carl having a shot to be a part of this mix. He's not able to keep the pace with the first 6.
Our point leader, Bobby Hamilton, right now is being shown in the 17th position. He's not been able to make that much progress from that most recent caution flag prior to the last one.
Dennis Setzer, when he started this race, came in under one of the pace laps, made some major adjustments to the 46. Those have worked well enough to get him into the top 10. He's currently running in 8th position.
He's in that battle with Rudeman and Edwards. You can see him coming across the start-finish line there. Rudeman to the inside, Edwards high, and Dennis trying to look for a hole, and Ted's joining him as well.
There's 3 of the top 5 in points right there all together. The 99, the 46, and the 1. 3 of the top 5 at points right there together racing.
And they're all going to gain points from Bobby Hamilton if they can just hold serve and get it to the finish inside the top 10 here.
When we started this race, Bobby Hamilton had a 185-point lead over Ted Musgrave. Everyone has closed the gap on Bobby Hamilton.
Right now we show Ted Musgrave with a 21-point gain on Bobby Hamilton. I think if you asked him before the race, would you take a 21-point gain, he would say absolutely. He's definitely not out of this points race.
JB had driven up on the inside of Shane, lost his momentum, and here comes Sprague to the inside of JB.
Jack Sprague, if he could win this race, would win $18,000 for his crew, but Travis Quapple is not going to slow down to let him do that.
We saw Johnny able to drive up beside him in the center of the corner, but he had the wrong angle, could not quite get off the corner. He had to back off the throttle, and Jack was able to drive away with the 4th position.
I sure do like the job, though, that Johnny and this team have done. They rebounded from a...
2 trucks out of gas.
Jamie McMurray slows down, is out of gas.
We talked like that was going to be an awful lot of distance to make. Wendy?
The only thing, Jamie Mack came over the radio and said, no gas, it's dead. He's coming down pit road. Of course, crew chief Trip Bruce had nothing to lose. They were definitely taking their chances by staying out. A disappointing day for Jamie Mack as he comes in. They're going to hit him with
out of gas.
Shane Meal slows down, and Jack Sprague and the rest of the crew goes by him.
Hey, remember, Travis Quapple's in the same boat with these guys. He pitted on the same lap that Jamie McMurray did. So is he going to have enough fuel to get to the end?
Can Toyota win a fuel mileage race tonight?
He's got 3 laps to go. He's got a good cushion right now on Jack Sprague. That moves Johnny Benson up in the 3rd position, Carl Edwards 4th, and David Ruderman 5th.
Oh, Travis is breathing heavy right now, wondering if he's got enough gas. And look who's coming. Here comes Jack.
Oh, problems on the backstretch. Bill Lester.
Oh, that's the front stretch. Right here on the front stretch, Rick.
Coming out of turn 4, Bill Lester in the 22.
NASCAR throws the caution.
Caution comes out as Travis Kvapil goes by that accident.
Remember, green-white, we have a green-white checker, so as long as it takes them to get these trucks cleaned up, hey, Travis Kvapil could run out of gas on the caution flag, Michael.
What is going to happen with the green-white checkered, considering NASCAR, the darkness?
Wendy, what's going on with the 24 truck?
Eric Phillips jumping on top of the pit box. He's never really an emotional man, but he got very upset when that caution came out. They're pretty confident that they're not so sure they're going to make it to the end. They saw the 2 and the 15 both drop off the track, running out of fuel. And now he's complaining it's dark. He's telling the NASCAR official it's dark.
Well,
of course, I'm sure that's playing into the fact that they're about to run out of fuel.
Wendy, it is dark. We'll have to go along with it. I don't know that NASCAR will do a green-white checker here. It's officially dark.
It is, and if we can get a shot of the Sunoco sign, we can see right now the lights on the front of the truck, but almost. We're going to take a look now at this accident. The 08 of Bobby Dotter having problems with the 22.
We're getting a report that they're not going to do a green-white checker because of the darkness. And are they being shown the white flag?
The yellow flag is still the only flag being shown.
That should have been the white flag there.
Because we've completed 100.
When you get back here.
They're reaching for the checkered flag. And again, I mentioned earlier, it's very deceiving. It's deceiving. The light that you're seeing through the cameras is deceiving because we can shade the cameras and make it look like it's a lot lighter than it actually is out. It is very dark right now on the track. And Travis Kvapil is trying to make it this last quarter of a mile so that he can claim the victory. If he can't make it, Jack Sprague would take the top spot and win $18,000 for his crew. But right now, Travis Kvapil will follow the pace truck past the accident coming out of turn number 4. This was Bobby Dotter and the 22 of Bill Lester bringing out this last caution. And as you see, the checkered flag will fly, and Toyota takes their 2nd win in the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Travis Kvapil winning race number 2 for Line-X. Wendy?
I'm with crew chief Eric Phillips. Eric, we saw you just went through a range of emotions. You were really upset, and now you were really glad to see those checkers.
Yeah, I knew if this thing got a green-white checkered, we were going to be in trouble on gas. Every time caution come out there after we pitted, I just kept telling Travis, conserve, conserve. After we got by Jamie, I just told him, back your corner up as much as you can. And I knew we had a good truck, but we just needed track position. We got back there at the beginning. I knew they were going to have that competition caution, and I made a mistake on the air pressure and just got too much air in the tires. Got real tight, lost a lot of positions. But that Line-X Toyota is pretty good. And this feels pretty good, all the stuff that we went through the last few weeks. And good for these guys. I mean, they've had so many different emotions. I think some of them didn't know if they're going to have a job the next day. And this is a pretty good race team, and we keep showing it every week.
All right, all the controversy that's been surrounding Bang Racing and the 24 Travis Kvapil pays off today with a victory. Eric Phillips very excited, but he was nervous. His leg was just shaking during that interview, guys.
Well, as Michael just mentioned, he's not out of gas. We're fairly confident of that.
He's got enough gas to do a burnout and do a Polish victory lap, and he's going to have some fun. What a great run by Travis Kvapil. You know, we talked all day that he had such a great truck in practice yesterday, and he was able to put it together.
The Line-X Toyota celebrating in front of this crowd at New Hampshire International Speedway. We'll be back with more. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is presented by Craftsman. Let's go down to victory lane and Wendy Norris.
Travis Kvapil climbs out of his truck. He was patiently waiting to climb back as he pours Gatorade all over his team. The 2nd win this season as he jumps up on the stage to his 24 team. 2nd win this season for Travis Kvapil, and also the 2nd win for Toyota. Travis, a wild night. How bad were you sweating it? Were you going to run out of fuel?
Well, I knew we were pretty darn close, and I think NASCAR did the right thing. I mean, we had a great truck. It was getting pretty dark out, and man, the Linux team did a great job. We were awful in the beginning of the race. They put spring rubbers in it, got it where I could drive it, but good strategy by Eric and the Linux team. Toyota truck ran good, great horsepower. Hold on. I want to apologize to Matt. I got him there, and I was working for so long, and he was getting worse and worse, and I just got him a little bit in the center corner. I apologize.
Now, what were you thinking when it did get dark? What were you telling your crew chief, Eric Phillips? How bad were you fighting for them to end the race?
Well, I mean, I really thought we had enough fuel to go another green, white checkered, and we had so many caution laps early in that run. I thought we were going to be all right, but he was sweating it pretty bad. I could tell it in his voice, but great strategy, great truck, great Toyota motor. These guys did a great job for me, too.
Now, Jamie Mack was fast tonight. How did you figure out how to get around him and that final pass?
Man, I didn't think I was going to be able to. I was behind him for so long, I kept trying to work under the bottom, and finally I'm like, well, heck, we'll see what's up top, and got up there, and the thing stuck, and I started working that outside groove in, and about that time I started getting it going. He started moving up for me too, but it was a good race.
All right, now there's been a lot of controversy surrounding you, your team, and Bang Racing. A couple weeks ago, you didn't even know if you were going to be in a truck.
I knew I was going to be in a truck, and this Linux team, Bang Racing, they never skipped a beat. They kept building trucks for me, and I knew we had a strong team, and after Michigan, we had a lot of momentum on our side. We're not out of this thing yet. We got a lot of ground to make up, but this is what we need to do right here, win races.
All right, Travis Quapple, crew chief Eric Phillips rolling the dice tonight, and it pays off with a victory. Let's go to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Wendy. And Jack Sprague was pretty sure he had the momentum to get him. I know darkness came, and you were hating that.
Well, I'm actually one of the ones that said it was too dark to go back, and it's just not safe. But man, the guys did a heck of a job. My Chevy truck Silverado was awesome. You know, I like to thank Elsa Transmission, OnStar, Vortex, everybody on this thing. I don't know, XM Radio, Articat. I had the right truck. I mean, I didn't need that last caution because I was mowing them bad. I mean, I could see I had 3 to go, and I was catching Travis hard, and my truck was awesome. So that's the way it goes. I didn't need the last caution. I know we would have won the race, but we came home second, and at one point there with about 40 to go, it started missing, and I thought it was going to be another miserable day, and it quit missing after that, the next caution, and I'm like, cool, but it was a good day for us. We had a little trouble in the pits, got way back at one point, had to fight our way back, but it just took a long time for my truck to go off of restarts, and I'd lose 4 or 5 spots, and then it'd come in. But all in all, man, I'll take a second compared to what's happened to us all year. Everything went great. The truck was great. The motor ran great. And go to Vegas to try to win, but I think I had him.
You have 24 victories. Do you have any idea how many times you finished second?
Feels like 24 more. I don't know, but
29.
29. I don't doubt it. But you know, that's the way it goes. That's the way the cautions fell. If it wasn't for the second to last caution, I was going to run 5th. So, you know, that's the way it goes. And congratulations to Travis. He did a great job. Just I wasn't in the right place at the right time.
All right. Congratulations. Second place finish for Jack Sprague. And guys, that money lives on. We'll have another guy trying to go for the $20,000 next week when we go to Vegas for the pole.
Ray talking about the Craftsman win from the pole award. Jack Sprague, oh so close tonight. And Travis Quapple claims his second victory of the season.
Johnny Benson gets his best finish of the year, 3rd in the 23 Toyota. Carl fought back to a 4th, top 5 finish, and David Ruderman with a good top 5.
Yeah, Darrell's truck hung in there. Bobby Kennedy and the boys did a great job, got him a top 5 finish, and you can see David Starr, Dennis Setzer, Ted Musgrave, those guys all racing for some points. You know, we talked on the Friday night show on Speed that we felt like there were 7 guys still with a chance to win the championship, including Travis Quapple. He's put an exclamation point on that. I feel like he's still in contention for that. Denny Hamlin, we saw him run up front early, finishes 11th.
Steve Park with a great run after qualifying second, changing an engine, having to go to the back, all the way back up to 14th place.
Yeah, he's one of the trucks that made a late pit stop. You see Bobby Hamilton salvaged a 15th place finish with some pit strategy to kind of went awry with him.
Last year's winner, Jimmy Spencer, coming home in 18th.
Shane Mill up front all night long and gets a 20th place finish. We had a tremendous amount of trucks on the lead lap. This is some of the guys and girls that fell off the pace late in the going. We saw Bill Lester and Bobby Dotter. They were racing on the lead lap when they crashed at the end.
Jamie McMurray, that finish is not reminiscent of the run he had. He led 50 laps tonight and coming home in 28th because he ran out of fuel.
We knew it was going to be close for a lot of those guys, and Jamie McMurray and Shane Meal were 2 of the ones that unfortunately ran out of fuel, and Travis Quapple didn't.
Ricky Craven, one of the trucks that stepped in here, one of the truck whackers that tried to have a good performance tonight and had some problems and was out early. Ray Dunlap standing by with JB.
And Rick, I was just talking to Johnny. I said, you know, it didn't look that dark from where I was standing, but I guess I wasn't going 125 miles an hour, right?
No, you were just hanging out. And you probably had this nice light on this camera, no whole deal. We could have used that in front of the car, but last couple laps getting pretty tough. So I mean, did the right thing at the end there. But it's a great day for the Toyota Tundra. I mean, we'd really struggled when we unloaded. I mean, we had about 3 trucks that might have been a little slower than us, but we kept working on Greg Ely and the guys. Just kept working, and we changed a lot of stuff for qualifying. It was the right call. I mean, we went through a couple of the other trucks there and decided to try a couple things. We were like, oh man, this ought to be big. So it ended up okay. We didn't change left side tires the whole race, so we ran the left sides the whole deal, changed the rights once, and then did fuel. So had a lot of laps on tires, so I was slipping and sliding there at the end.
We go to Vegas next, and as you look at that race, and I guess on down our schedule, what is your best chance to get up there and fight for a win?
Well, I don't know. I mean, as good as we ran at Michigan, I would dare say California would be, but I don't know. Hopefully they all are. I mean, we're making some strides on it. We were struggling a little bit on the short tracks to get through the center, just trucks doing a couple odd things. So I think we found some of that problem. We just go a little step further. Maybe it'll be okay. But outside that, I'm real happy. Like I say, guys at Bill Davis Racing did a tremendous job, and just happy to get out of here while it was. Oh, never mind.
Yeah.
It is dark.
Yeah, it is dark. Congratulations. Johnny Benson, guys, finishes 3rd.
Travis Kvapil grabs his 2nd win of the season, and it just so happens that this race was supposed to start under the light or under natural light, and it finishes under the darks. Speed Channel's coverage of the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series post-race show is brought to you by Craftsman, the official tools of NASCAR and the NHRA. Point standings through 18 races. Bobby Hamilton retaining his lead. Dennis Setzer, Carl Edwards holding on to 2nd and 3rd. Matt Crafton 4th. Ted Musgrave 5th. Travis Kvapil now moves to 6th with this win, just 188 points out of the top spot.
Michael, I think you can look no further than the top 6 right now. I only had the top 5 in prior to this race. I said Ted Musgrave, who was 185 points behind coming in this race, he was the last one in contention. But with Travis Kvapil running so well, moving inside of 190 points at 188, I think I've got to put him in that race too.
Yeah, I thought 7 coming here, Phil, and now I'm going to drop that number to 6. The top 6, I believe, are that's where our championship team will come from.
Ray Dunlap standing by with our points leader, Bobby Hamilton.
Well, thank you, Rick. For the 5th race this year, Bobby Hamilton still has the points lead, but you lost some ground today. Now, you started deep in the field, 23rd, but ran right to the front, and then what happened?
Well, we come into pits, and NASCAR told my guys that I was supposed to go behind a 22, and they're going green. You know, everybody pits and they're going green that lap, so I'm just pulling by people trying to find a 22. Kind of find out the 22 is riding around a half a lap down, and they penalized me for jumping the start, and all I was doing is going up there trying to find a 22. And I passed my 18 truck, they penalized passing in, and me telling him on the radio all day that he had a broke axle or a broke ratchet. Kind of found out he's running with a broke axle and a broke ratchet on the lead lap. He must have had a rocket ship. Probably could have lapped the field 5 times if it had been fixed. But I wasn't jumping nobody. I was looking for the 22. I don't think they gave us enough time to get that sorted out, but it's okay. It was actually, you know, I got on my people's fault. It's our fault. It's not NASCAR's fault because they do that a lot. And I just went in there and had a pretty good tail chewing. And I told him, I said, I won't drive that hard no more. I'll give up because I can do it. I own it. I don't have to answer to the owner no more.
All right, and guys, keep in mind, Bobby Hamilton did lead a lap here, so he did get those 5 bonus points. Wendy?
We're with Dennis Setzer and Carl Edwards. Dennis Setzer came home 6th, Carl Edwards 4th, but the big story of the night is the points. Dennis, you're only 30 points behind Bobby Hamilton. A good points night for you.
It was okay. You know, we were a little off chassis-wise all night, unfortunately, right there. But, you know, our Silverado bunch, they kept plugging along. We made some changes before the green ever came out. Made the first 2 cautions right there, come in, made some more changes, then tried to get track position. Seemed like a lot of other trucks around us was pretty bad also, so kind of paid some dividends on the track position.
Now, I heard you say during the race that you couldn't pass for anything. You seemed to get through traffic there at the end pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know. Just everybody was slipping and sliding a little bit and real tight up off the corners. Everybody pushed up off the corners. I, unfortunately, was getting loose going in the corners all night, too. So, I don't know. These guys done a great job. You know, I appreciate the effort they put out. They've made a lot of changes on this thing all weekend, race day and everything else. So, a lot of work. It's been a long day today with all the rain.
All right, Dennis Setzer also took a gamble tonight with that fuel mileage when he pit on lap 105. Ray?
Shane Meal, there is no doubt in my mind that you are going to get up there and win one of these races. Tell me about how crazy this day was.
It was good. I mean, you know, other than where we finished, I'm getting over caring about winning. I just want to be the fastest truck here, and we're that pretty much every week. You know, last week we ran third and took a chance on winning, and this week we didn't take a chance and come and got fuel after everybody else did and thought we were going to be good to go, and ran second right there at the end and ran out of gas. But that's why I got the best motors here, DI motors, and they burn a lot of fuel, so I can't be mad. I just want to thank everybody, and glad this thing's happened today instead of Monday. I don't want to be here then.
10-4, that goes for all of us. And Wendy, another guy did good in the points today.
Yep, Carl Edwards trying to get his Super Chip sponsor on the air. You cut your points in half last week, and you did it again this week with the point deficit. You're only 39 points behind.
Yeah, it's a great run for Super Chips. For Roush Racing, we were going to work as hard as we can for this championship. I got to say hi to Mike and Rick and Peter Wales and everybody at Super Chips. And happy birthday, Jake Pierce, 17th birthday. But man, I can't wait to race tomorrow.
Oh, he's excited about tomorrow, folks. He worked on his truck all night long, and it paid off with a 4th place finish. Rick?
Carl Edwards will be running in the Cup race tomorrow on this track. And the lights now on all the safety vehicles. This race was not supposed to be run at night, but it did finish under darkness. We'll be back to close out tonight's show. Darkness has engulfed the New Hampshire International Speedway. Travis Kvapil claiming his 2nd victory of the year. Green flag flew. We weren't sure if it was actually going to happen today, but it did. It was green-yellow for a good portion of the beginning of this race. Then the sun came out.
A lot of action on the racetrack, a lot of action on pit road. And Travis Kvapil ended up with his 2nd victory, the first time ever with 2 victories in one season.
Great job for the Speed Channel crew. We want to thank everyone for putting in a great effort in getting this race in.